Good morning, everyone, from this part of Lagos, Nigeria, and welcome to what is a special Dyslexia Nigeria, and of course, everyone as well. Welcome from me, Samuel Victor Akman, be my name, and I'm welcoming you to the fifth Africa Dyslexia Dialogue, which promises to be a conversation or dialogue that will be fun. Again, I want to welcome everyone tuned into the broadcast, and of course, it promises to be fun. I hope your time with us today is worth every single second. So without further ado, let's get right into the conversation. And I'd like to welcome the guests and, of course, our panelists and everyone who's on the stream. We're live streaming on YouTube, and I know you know that. And of course, again, it promises to be fun. I'm so excited to be part of all of this today because this certainly is an auspicious day. And of course, we get to learn more about what is a norm that needs to be corrected and how we can match together or merge more like technology and, of course, human brilliance together for a better society for all of us at large. Again, welcome to the fifth Africa Dyslexia Dialogue hosted by Dyslexia Nigeria. And my name, Samuel Victor Akban, and I'll be the master of ceremony today. All right. Before we go on, I'd like to introduce the host of this event, who is the managing director of Dyslexia Nigeria. And of course, she's part of us today. What's this occasion without her today? Dr. Adrian Tikolo is here with us to say welcome to everyone and, of course, give us a welcome address. Dr. Adrian, absolutely a pleasure to have you with us today, and welcome to the dialogue.
Thank you so much. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Wonderful. So good morning, good afternoon, even good evening to all our friends, educators, leaders, innovators, and parents joining us today across this beautiful continent, Africa and beyond. I am Dr. Adrian Tikolo, and it is my profound honor to welcome you to the fifth Africa Dyslexia Dialogue. We meet once again, this time to talk more than just challenges. We're here to talk about power. We're here to talk about the future. Look around the world right now. The rules are changing. The old map of success has been torn up. We're seeing a seismic shift in how we learn, how we work, and what we even define as talent. And that brings us to our theme for this year, Rewired. Creativity, AI, and the future of talent. The word AI is not an accident. For too long, the brilliant, unorthodox minds in our communities, the neurodiverse, has been asked to conform to a system built for a singular way of thinking. They were asked to fix their wiring, but today, we look at that wiring and we don't see a fault. We see a feature. In this fast-moving AI-driven world, the skills that machine cannot replicate are the ones that matter the most. We're talking about creativity, three-dimensional problem solving, intuitive pattern recognition, and the ability to think entirely outside of the box. This is the very essence of the rewired mind. The rise of artificial intelligence is not a threat to human brilliance. It is the gift we couldn't have asked for. AI is magnificent. Are the things that have historically been excruciating for the neurodiverse: structure, repetition, flawless spelling, and data sorting. Machines can now handle the routine, the administration, and the rote tasks that creates the barriers that once held back our greatest thinkers. So this frees up the rewired mind to do what it knows best: imagine, invent, and create. AI is the supporting beam that allows the neurodiverse architect to build soaring, impossible structures. They are not opposites. They are partners. AI elevates the machine. Neurodiversity elevates the human. We have gathered an incredible group of visionaries who live at this intersection of technology and human potential. We're privileged to welcome our keynote speaker, Mr. John Kamara. He's the founder of the AI Center of Excellence in Africa. Mr. Kamara is a champion of African innovation, and he will show us how to harness AI, not just for processing, but for empowerment. And following his address, we will dive into two crucial conversations. First, can machines teach human brilliance? Where experts like Professor Ageliki Papa, Olaleko Adeko, and Hugh Johnston will explore how we can use technology to customize and revolutionize the learning journey itself. And finally, the new creators, why the future belongs to the neurodiverse minds, which will celebrate the rise of unorthodox talent in creativity, culture, and beyond. This dialogue is not just academic. It's a call to action for the continent of Africa. We have the largest, youngest, and the most rapidly growing talent pool in the world. But if we continue to measure the worth of a child by their spelling score or the ability to sit still, we will lose the innovators who are meant to solve our greatest challenges. We will lose the genius we need. So today, let us look past the traditional metrics of intelligence. Let us redefine what talent means for a continent on the rise. Let us stop asking our brilliant children to conform and start equipping them to create. So as we begin today, I invite you to listen with curiosity, to question old ideas about intelligence and ability, and to imagine what Africa could become if every kind of mind had the freedom to thrive. Because this isn't just about dyslexia or AI or even education. It's about the future of human potential and Africa's place in that future. So may this dialogue open our eyes, stretch our thinking, and rewire our collective imagination. Let us begin. Let us see the future not as a place to catch up, but the place for the rewired to lead. Welcome everyone to the 5th Africa Dyslexia Dialogue, and thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Adrian Ticolo, for that welcome address and for also expatiating on the theme, which again is Rewired, the future of AI creativity, and of course, the future of talent. Rewired, creativity, AI, and the future of talent. And also you mentioned about individuals with dyslexia, which is also further expatiating on the theme of the event. We know that they're often misunderstood, but they're inherent strengths that we can all tap in from, which can be useful to society and, of course, big picturing things, which is what we aim to do here today. I know I've mentioned it's going to be fun, but the big idea is to make it informative and educative as much as possible. Thank you once again, Doctor. At this point, I'd like to welcome the keynote speaker for the event. He's someone who obviously we all love to learn a few things from. He is Mr. John Kamara, a globally recognized AI and data transformation leader and entrepreneur, who's also driving AI adoption, architectural designs, and of course, commercialization across the big, beautiful continent of Africa. Mr. John Kamara is also the founder of Adnan Labs, which is a venture studio launched in 2020 that has supported over 40 startups across South Africa, Kenya, our country, Nigeria, Tanzania, and Zambia, just to mention those in Africa. He's a serial innovator. That's Mr. John Kamara. He founded Afia Record, an AI, which is an AI-powered health data platform, revolutionizing patient-driven healthcare as well. I could go on and on about Mr. John Kamara, but I'm sure he would like to tell us more about himself. Mr. John Kamara, thank you so much for being here and being part of the 5th Africa Dyslexia Dialogue, and welcome once again to this event.
Thank you very much, Sam. Can everyone hear me?
Loud and clear, sir.
Pleasure to meet you, Dr. Adrian. And thank you everyone for having me here today. So I will jump right into it. And my theme for today is what I call AI, neurodiversity, and the new intelligence age. And to start that, I want to sort of set the tone around the hidden crisis and the new hope. And as Dr. Adrian has said, welcome everyone here, but more importantly, the brilliant minds who will think differently. Today, I really want to talk about intelligence, not as the world defines intelligence, but as it truly exists, diverse, adaptive, and creative human knowledge. Across Africa and part of the world, millions of children, adults suffer from dyslexia, wake up, but with extraordinary potential, but yet they walk into places, classrooms, ecosystem designed for only one type of mind and brain. We have millions of children whose brains, if you think about it, are wired for creative innovation systems thinking. They're wired for storytelling, but we call them slow. They are misunderstood. They lose confidence before they learn their own brilliance. Not because they are incapable, but as I see, because the system has not yet learned how to see them as extraordinary and see the extraordinary things that is happening within their mind. And for me, this is unacceptable. So we still place children inside classrooms designed for the industrial age. And if you think about it, where speed of reading is mistaken for intelligence, speed of reading is mistaken for intelligence, and memorization is mistaken for learning. So we memorize and we assume that that is the only concept of learning. And children with dyslexia are struggling in these systems, and the system is also struggling to serve them as well. But as Dr. Adrian has said, we must think differently today, because technology can bend to the mind, not force the mind to bend to the system. Technology can bend to the mind and not force the mind to bend to the system. And this is the age where AI meets neurosciences, and where, as Africans, we can create a new learning path and a new learning understanding for people and kids with dyslexia. And the same technology revolution that we're talking about is transforming different sectors: finance, agriculture, healthcare, space travel. And with that, it is also looking at neuroscience, adaptive learning, and also opening the door for a new type of learning exercises and intelligence for people with dyslexia. And this is really the area that we have the opportunity to excel. So in understanding this, I did quite a lot of research. And one of the things I picked up was understanding dyslexia through neurosciences. And neuroscience, it has proven something powerful. It has moved us from stigma and guesswork. And if you look at the dyslexic brain, it's not less, but it's just wired differently. It's not wired less, it's wired differently. And from my research, I believe it processes information like a 3D engine. Okay, and which is basically, and if you think about a 3D engine that harmonizes with spatial intelligence, you look at big picture thinking, it understands diverse patterns, it has spatial awareness, but sometimes it is hard for it to combine all that into what we consider instant information recognition. So And if you look at MRI studies and, a lot of ECG mappings that have been done lately, as well as computational neuroscience, it reveals that dyslexic brains use alternative neural pathways. And they basically exhibit strong, what I would call right hemisphere activations within the brain. And they also excel in big picture thinking, reasoning. And if you look at, a number of research that has been done with artificial modeling, you see 3D recognition of how people with dyslexia actually recognize imaging. And they access creativity and associate memory with systems. And one of the most important things I learned from my research was the superior context and relational thinking that is combined inside the rewired mind. So if you think about it from that perspective, this brain wiring is not a deficit. It is not a deficit. It's an evolutionary cognitive diversity. And these are the minds that imagine, invent, and build and transform things like over years and decades. Quite a lot of scientists have actually come into this space. And in the age of AI, we can actually use this to harness the creative intelligence, the innovative intelligence, and the problem-solving skills that we could also use in our societies today. So which means a traditional system focused on memorization, as I said in the beginning, and speed of learning has to shift. And the future has to belong to a different type of design reason thinking combined with emotional intelligence and spatial awareness. So what does that look like for the reality for Africa? The goal is here, been working in artificial intelligence for quite a long time. So I always say, let's not talk about technology, not hype, but what progress can we make? And if you look at neuroadaptive learning using artificial intelligence, it basically means we have systems that read eye movements, reading hesitations, vocal stress markers, cognitive fatigue signals, and emotional tone, and it can adjust these lessons instantly. It's fascinating what is happening. And we can build AI that doesn't correct the child, but it evolves with the child. And this is what we call multimodal learning engines. So you look at text to voice, voice to text, text to animation, animation to simulation, and simulation to a multi-sensory and frictional learning experience. So with that, one of the things that I believe could be extremely important is generative AI personal tutors and thinking of the students basically explaining photosynthesis as a comic in Yoruba, for example, and turning it into a learning game. And when AI doesn't instantly learn for them, but it helps them to execute their learning patterns. It's very important as we build all these AI solutions. It's not about learning for them, but helping them to execute their own learning patterns. So it's called human-centered AI, where they are the ones actually supporting to train the models that you build. And this basically means you have to think about AI as an executive function companion rather than a solution for them. And this basically helps them, this is a scaffolding for brilliance rather than a crutch that you're giving them to walk. So, and one of the things that I believe is extremely, that I've come across is, the voice-first education for Africa, especially with dyslexic children, who are often oral thinkers. And if you can imagine, I live in Kenya, a Maasai kid, child who has dyslexia, learning science by talking, listening, and stories, not just reading and text. So which means we have to change the format of learning. And if you also think about via virtual reality, augmented reality, and cognitive world that they can live in. So where dyslexic learners walk through virtual rainforests in biology, and they build molecules with their hands in virtual reality, and they can explore patterns and rhythms within a cognitive framework that allows them to understand and experience the lesson. So, and one of the key things that we could do is think about early screening with artificial intelligence. So, which means we can design simple smartphones or tools that can give us early signs to detect dyslexia risk. And part of the research that I started conducting recently was around the rhythm and monitoring patterns, where you also have speech cadence before fear. So basically using speech cadence and looking at the rhythm of the reading, and similar to where we have sense modules with mobile phones today with AI, where we can activate sense and smell with patterns. And this basically helps us to begin to understand super early enough how to support these kids before it becomes a full-blown, what people consider problem rather than opportunity. And this also creates a neurofeedback that enhances focus and allows us to decode pathways where we can enter new types of educational pilots for these kids. And the goal is, while the world is moving in my world of artificial intelligence, a lot of what we're doing is sitting in the classrooms waiting for change to happen. And they bring me to a critical part of this whole network, which are the teachers. So today, apart from in dyslexia, just working with teachers across Africa, teachers are overwhelmed. The parents feel helpless, and the systems lack the understanding of the new pattern of learning. And it's not that the talent is the problem, but the problem is the gap in understanding what the infrastructure can do. And I call it knowledge as a service. If we do not empower our teachers in this form of learning, then we lose the opportunity to reshape that whole industry. So if you combine neurosciences with AI breakthrough, you would find that beyond just AI being a software, it becomes a neural ally for people with dyslexia. And some of the scientific breakthroughs I just want to share with you that could be quite interesting that you can look into. We have AI tracking to detect reading stress today. We have voice biomarkers that detect learning strains and fatigue. We have cognitive load analysis for real-time adaptivity. We have neurofeedback tools helping focus and memory cycles. We have brain-computer learning interfaces. We have VR classrooms to build neural pathways through movement. And also we have AI systems that can transform text, picture, sound, action learning for kids with dyslexia. How are we using these tools, these opportunities, and these solutions to actually drive the neural alley? And I must repeat myself again for all the young builders and developers. It is not about building technology. It is not about building another app. And it's not about building another platform. It's about understanding the relationship between the neural pathway and the cognitive learning and the adaptive model in which a technology can enhance the support of the learning for the child rather than building a tool for the child. So this then brings me to the future of the African classroom. It must be a learning intelligence ecosystem rather than a classroom for people with dyslexia. And this can be filtered and it can trickle down into other parts of society. So where you imagine voice-first tutors in local languages, with minimal infrastructure, you could drive holographic lessons and interactive 3D content. And you could create simple group creativity lab and not just passive roles, because people with dyslexia actually find the neural pathway allows them to actually combine work if put in a cognitive exercise. And also, where you drive real-world simulation and one of the projects that we're working on, we call it learning pods, and ultimately help you to design micro-learning units paced for cognition. So what it means is learning becomes adaptive, alive, joyful, emotional, and they are prepared to imagine, and they can design the leading pathway that we can guide them into using the power of artificial intelligence and technology. And also means that we have to empower our teachers, not replace them. And let us be clear, AI will not replace teachers from an emotional pathway perspective, but AI can augment the work of teachers. And what do our teachers need? They need AI, they need training, they need coaching, they need digital tools for neurodiversity, and they also need to understand instructional neurosciences and literacy using artificial models. And they need simple now for our developers, simple AI tools that can support the learning exercise. They need classroom AI co-pilots that prepare materials and understand it. They need collaborative model of working together. So we must build teachers with first AI adoption, not first AI classrooms without the teachers. And this basically means our goal is to build human-centered, with machine precision, new learning transformation ecosystems. Because at the end of the day, emotional intelligence and human connection is where the power we can use to extract the knowledge that lies inside a number of all these young people. Over the past 15 years, and over the past 5 years across Africa, I have consistently said the same thing. AI alone will not change our lives. AI alone will not recreate human destiny. Because we as humans are the ones that build, we as humans are the ones that create the new concept, the new reasoning models, and the new AI solutions that actually drive the physical changes that we see in engineering today. Humans. So when you think about collective human intelligence and what that means in ecosystems like this, where we can use the power of that and the neural pathway that we understand with today what we call human-centered AI, driven by human empathy and will, it allows us to provide not just the technology the child needs, not the support, the learning the teacher needs, the ecosystem approach, the parenting, but adaptive AI models that become, again, neural allies to the learning patterns. Because one of the most important things to understand in this journey is how to augment and orchestrate feedbacks. What is the neural feedback loop that allows us for continuous learning models? My interest is not to see teachers become obsolete. No. Teachers have to become empowered. And there's a saying that I say, you know, after talking to over 300 teachers across so many different countries, schools in Africa, one of the most significant things that I keep hearing is no one is teaching us what they want us to teach the child. No one is providing for us the knowledge we need to change and teach the child. So the question is, how do I teach someone something that I do not know? So again, like I said, it is not about building applications. It is not about setting up edtech. It is about looking at the functional foundation of learning, our schools. Because when I'm gone, when you're gone, it is the knowledge will be warehoused inside our schools, our universities, our places of learning, because that is a continuation of learning. How are we empowering that whole ecosystem that we are tasking with the responsibility to change? How do I teach what I do not know? Less than 5% of teachers understand what you talk about when you say artificial intelligence in Africa. We ran a program recently in Nigeria where we had over 300 professors show up on a Sunday night on a virtual program. And about 87% of them were still struggling with artificial intelligence, what it meant as of 3 months ago. Let that sink in for a minute. This is not 2 years ago, 3 months ago. So we talk the big talk. We do the great work here. We talk about but underneath the ecosystem that we're building, the foundational models that we need for our institutions are not aligning with what we're doing at the top here. AI takes away the mechanical burden so teachers can focus, and AI can deliver information, and teachers can deliver the belief and the action. And this works together to create a new dynamic for us. And Africa, as we say, is the youngest population in the world. We can build AI-enabled dyslexia screening in schools. We can power AI training for teachers. We can run cognitive adaptive learning centers. EdTech companies can support that as well. But more importantly, neurodiversity innovation is a critical part using artificial intelligence. And which means that our creativity, our creative studios, where dyslexic mind becomes builders, where we can build low-cost AI companions, even from the kids who are in the rural communities, from rural to mobile. We don't need to copy the West. We do not need to copy the West. We have our own resources in our imagination and in our culture, in the way we learn, and the opportunity that we have. And to unlock this, our dyslexic talent pipeline must build, as you said, creative tech studios, STEM neural AI labs. They must become public speakers for other people. And we also have to think about, we're not trying to fix their brains, but we must unleash their genius. So as I close, rewiring the African mindset. The era of one intelligence is over. We're in the era of many intelligence. Collective human intelligence driving us to an artificial intelligence era. And the future will not be built around how we memorize answers, like I said, but with those who invent the questions for the new forms of answers that AI can help us with. And the dyslexic mind does not see limits. They see possibilities. And our role is, how do we help that possibilities by building systems around them that can allow them to thrive? So we must stop trying to fit them into the child world that we already created. But we must adapt, build systems that support them, and also we must celebrate their neurodiversity as a competitive advantage. And more importantly, we can use AI to magnify human intelligence, but not measure it, and effectively fight the stigma using science and technology. Dyslexia is a different cognitive operating system. One designed for creativity, innovation. And we need thinkers like you, Dr. Adrian, to help drive this new dynamic world that these kids will have to be rewired into. With AI, with empathy, with courage, with belief. Because the future does not belong to those who memorize. It belongs to those who can imagine, create, adapt, and dream differently. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. John Kamara. I mean, there's plenty to unpack in what you've just told us in your keynote address. I spent time taking down loads of notes on my paper here. I mean, you've touched on so many things that are very, very salient, from the importance of building this sort of classrooms for African children that is not just a structure, but fully operational to the benefit of the African child, especially those who are with dyslexia. I mean, it's so brilliant how you really epitomized and explained the theme of this year's event, which is really much about rewiring creativity, AI, and the future of talent. I mean, I could go on and on about what you said to us today, but it was really brilliantly well put. Thank you so much again, Mr. John Kamara, the founder of AI Center for Excellence in Africa. That's AICE Africa. for that very, very brilliant keynote address. Thank you, sir. Now we're going to get on to more information about Dyslexia Nigeria, who are putting together this epoch-making dialogue for us to really get informed and educated about dyslexia in Nigeria, Africa, and the world at large, I dare say. Now, I'm going to play you a video very, very shortly, but telling you about Dyslexia Nigeria more, we know it's a registered non-profit organization established to educate, convene, and empower all stakeholders concerned with dyslexia in Nigeria. That's a very key thing that needs to be said, including, and this is not just limited to educators or businessmen and women. We also have policymakers, parents, and caregivers so as to create an environment together. It's important that we mention that together we create an environment where dyslexia individuals can develop to their full potential. Now, we know people, and Dr. Adrian has also talked about this, people with dyslexia being seen or stigmatized more, like, especially in this part of the world. But today we're going to learn and be informed about how we can, rather than stigmatize, help these people go on to really develop their potentials. Because the truth is, and it must be said, they certainly add a lot to our society. And rather than stigmatize, we should encourage and help develop, just like we all need, or the world at large basically needs that development. And today we're talking about how we can use that development in the area of AI technology while also developing talent. Let's take a listen, or let's take a watch to this video that's going to play, explaining more about Dyslexia Nigeria, who are the host of the 5th Africa Dyslexia Dialogue, titled or themed Rewired, Creativity, AI, and the Future of Talent.
In every Nigerian classroom, there are children full of potential, yet struggle to read, write, and spell like their peers. This struggle often has a name: dyslexia, a difference in learning, not in intelligence. At Dyslexia Nigeria, we believe every person deserves the right support to thrive. Our vision is a world where individuals with dyslexia can attain their full potential. Our mission is to educate, identify, and support children and adults with dyslexia. Our goal is to educate, convene, and empower all stakeholders concerned with dyslexia in Nigeria, including educators, businesses, parents, policymakers, and individuals. Through screening, diagnostic assessments, teacher training, workplace needs assessments, and resources, we help schools, organizations, and families create environments where dyslexic learners can thrive. We empower educators to teach differently and workplaces to think inclusively, unlocking potential across every level of society. Through our programs like the Ready to Read program and partnerships, we're creating a future where dyslexia is understood, not feared. Dyslexia Nigeria, building awareness and inspiring understanding. In every Nigerian
All right. Interesting, wasn't it? I mean, absolutely brilliant. And still talking about Dyslexia Nigeria, the goal, like you heard in the video, is really to provide support to children and adults with dyslexia who struggle in schools, everywhere, in vocation as well, workplaces. We know these things are very much inherent, especially in white-collar jobs, professions, as well as many other areas or spheres of life, who have limited coping mechanisms and support. That's what Dyslexia Nigeria is aiming to rearrange or rewire, like the theme says, to help them really come up to full potential. All right, then. Thank you to everyone tuned in and watching the broadcast on YouTube. We appreciate the time you take out to be part of this very, very important dialogue for the 5th Africa Dyslexia event, which is certainly important. Like I've continually said, it's informative and it's educational as well. And you can really pack a lot to help the society at large move on from where we are into a better place, like Dr. Adrian Tikola has also mentioned, and of course the keynote speaker, Mr. John Camara, has expatiated on as well. Now let's get into a very important part of the dialogue today, which is our first panel session we're going to be having. And the topic for that is we're going to be looking at, can machines teach human brilliance? And that's, I mean, from the question itself or from the topic, you could really see where we're going together with this AI and learning for a new generation. Really, I love the fact that we could put it this way. Can machines teach human brilliance? AI against learning for a new generation. Now, we've got a very, very A-list, I must say, this A-list panelists who are going to be discussing and shedding more light on this particular topic for us today. And it's interesting that we do give them a proper introduction, and we're going to go through what promises to be a fascinating question and answer session here on this particular next event. Now, I want to introduce first off Professor Angeliki Papa, who is a visionary edu inventor, teachers trainer, entrepreneur, humanitarian activist as well in the UN, and academic researcher as well. Professor Angeliki Papa is an author and TEDx speaker. She's reaching millions of typical students and educators globally. Again, she's the founder and the CEO of the head director of studies of I Love Dyslexia school in Athens, Greece, and which is the first organization globally, specially for EFL/FL teaching to students with dyslexia and SEN, as well as more. I mean, I could keep going on and on about Professor Angeliki Papa, but Professor, thank you so much. Warm welcome to this part of this dialogue, and great to see you and great to meet you as well.
It's a great honor to join you from Athens, Greece, and I Love Dyslexia FL School. Thank you very much for all your efforts and for having me with you. I'm here to share my experience, my love, and my passion for equity in education and the brilliance of the brain of dyslexia. I'm dyslexic myself, so I can also share with you my own experience as a dyslexic student and teacher, empowering my own students and also professors all over the world to understand the different brilliance of dyslexia and how not only help students with dyslexia through AI, through understanding the advances of science and art, but also understanding how this brilliant brain can now show us the future of human development, because we need dyslexia more than ever for the evolution of society. So thank you for having me, and I'm looking forward to share my experience with you.
Thank you so much, Professor Papa. Also part of the panel for this first discussion we're going to be having is Olalekan Adeko. He did tell me how to pronounce this earlier. I hope I said that correctly yet again.
Yeah,
he is Thank you so much. He's a Microsoft Most Valuable Professional, an MVP, a Microsoft certified trainer as well, and the co-founder of TED Prime Limited, which is an education technology organization transforming learning through AI, data analytics, and culturally grounded innovation. He is as an AI solutions evangelist and learning analyst, he leads initiatives such as the AI for Educators, the Edo Girls Can Code, and his ability, which is reaching teachers, youths, and underserved communities, more like across Africa, Ghana, and Botswana as well. Mr. Olalekan, thank you so much for being part of this.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And it's good to see Professor Angeliki once more. I think our path crossed maybe about 8-7 years ago. I can't remember, but I'm looking forward to an exciting discussion with all the panelists in the house today. So thank you for having me once again.
Thank you so much, Mr. Olalekan. Completing this first part of the panel is Hugh Johnston, who is a digital product designer and co-founder of Typo.app, an AI-powered writing coach that helps people improve spelling and writing. Now, with experience in creating interactive and accessible digital learning, typical for learners, you've done a lot with the 3D Dyslexia NGO for transformative pedagogy for sustainable Earth through a lot. It really is a lot. Again, I can go on, but I know people don't like to really have you read out all the list of achievements and all that. But Hugh Johnson, we spoke earlier. Thank you so much for being part of this panel discussion.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's an absolute pleasure to be here. And it's been fascinating so far. And very much looking to forward to sharing my experience as a dyslexic individual, but also now my experience using AI to help equip others with the tools they need to thrive and really, unlock their potential. So yeah, really looking forward to getting stuck in with this discussion.
Thank you, Hugh. Now let's get right into it because I'm excited for this one. Can machines teach human brilliance? It's as simple as that. And I'd like to start off with you, Professor Angeliki Papa. Now, as classrooms increasingly adopt AI tools, which has pretty much become a norm these days in our world or our society today. Now, how can educators secure that technology more like through enhancing rather than replacing human connection and creativity that dyslexic learners need to thrive?
Well, this is a brilliant question. We need to really understand that there is no brilliant algorithm that will ever transform the classroom. It's always the teacher who understands the potential of this algorithm and the potential of the student and connects the potential of the algorithm and the potential of the student to his vision, and the vision and the ethos of seeing and watching every single learner in every single classroom thriving and reach its maximum potential, not only academically, but holistically as a human being. Because as teachers, we should never care only about reading and writing, which is of course very, very important because it empowers so many skills to the students, but also understand how we can connect holistically reading and writing to the soul, to the heart, to the mind of this student, of this human being, of his and her unique intelligence, cosmic intelligence, and allow this brilliance to thrive in the world. So the best way to do this is to actually try to envision how we're going to create artificial intelligence to accompany and to multiply the brilliance that every single learner, different learner, neurodiverse learners, but also typical learners can bring in the world. So the best way is to understand that AI technology is not there to replace human beings and human connection. AI will never have tears, will never have a big smile, will never have a heart and a hug and a warm heart and the eye contact. That it's the only thing that can empower a learner more than anything in this world. AI is there to amplify the tear of joy and the tear of sadness when sometimes you see your students suffer because they're marginalized in a classroom. The AI is there to amplify the warmth of the heart of a teacher and a student that they want to connect, to empower and transform the world. So technology is incredible, but will never be able to take out of the picture the teacher. So we need to make sure that we create technology that empowers the teachers, not take the teachers out of the picture, but actually empowers their heart and their vision to connect with the heart of the student to empower the world and transform the world. So it's all about the perspective and how you use the tool. It's also about how and who and why is creating the tool, and the conversation needs to be taken from AI to the human beings who create who create AI, and the reasons why they create human artificial intelligence and technology, and the problems that they want to solve in the world by creating this technology.
Thank you so much, Professor Papa, for explaining that. I mean, you've mentioned, and I like the fact that you brought the emotional part of it. AI cannot cry. AI cannot bring that part of emotions to a student. And those are important aspects in terms of passing on knowledge to people in classrooms and beyond the classrooms as well. So I do like the fact that you mentioned that. Thank you so much for such brilliant insight. Now, I'm going to come to you, Mr. Olalekan. Now, you've taught many about integrating AI into classrooms. Now, from your experience with that, what practical ways can you say educators can start using AI today in today's world to improve how they teach and support students with diverse learning needs. Now, I'm talking about including people with dyslexia. This is focusing on empowering teachers through AI.
Yeah, thank you for that question. I'll just start from where Mr. John Kamara stopped. He mentioned that teachers are key stakeholders in education, and that is one missing thing in some of our policies and how we drive our innovations in school. Oftentimes we leapfrog the teachers and then we just jump right into technology, and we believe once we deploy technology, then the solution has been put in place and all will work. Teachers need to know what AI literacy is all about before even saying we want to leverage it in the class. And when we talk about helping people with learning disabilities or difficulties, for us as teachers, there are 3 key areas that I'll be looking at this. The number one is the early detection and diagnosis. This is key, especially in this part of the world. Before we can even say we want to support students with different learning disabilities, do we even know if they exist in our classrooms? Do we even have, systems in place to help identify this and detect this and then help work with this set of students? It does not exist in most of the, low-income schools around there. So oftentimes teachers just look at the students in the class and say, oh, you are not brilliant, you're too slow, you're not catching up. Maybe the student is suffering silently with something. We often forget that every child deserves a fair chance to learn and to feel proud of their progress. So if we are able to even support our teachers in detecting these at the early stage, when we talk about the detection and diagnosis, then they can support the student. I remember working with a friend of mine who is in Enugu. We had a training for teachers, and then she reached out. She said, you know what, I want to help my student. I want to know if I have people with different learning disabilities in my class, dyslexia, autism, all sorts of things. And she said, I don't have the money, to put systems in place, but can we work together and look at different research out there, look at different questions, and then come up with a GPT, designed in a way to ask students different questions. Then at the end of the day, analyze the responses of the student and then say, based on the responses gotten from this student is likely to be this, and these are better ways of engaging with that student. That was done with just, ordinary ChatGPT, even the free plan. So these are ways that teachers can begin to see, how can I make a difference? I know it's little, but by the time we start one fish, you throw it back in the ocean, you're playing your own role. That's number one key area. Then we can now move to the second aspect, which has to do with personalized learning and interventions. We know as educators, we're trained in the colleges and the universities of education that, you've got to differentiate in your class. You've got to teach students the different ways that they learn. But tell me, we've got 60 students or 70 students in the class and you have 40 minutes to teach, and you need to differentiate. So how is that, humanly possible to understand all the 60 students and begin to teach each and every one of them the best way they love to learn? This is where AI can come in with different tools to support teachers in doing all this. Microsoft has what we call reading progress and reading coach. This can easily help students with reading disabilities. Maybe teacher will now use reading coach and come up with content and say, student, you need to read this. So instead of the teacher lining up the students and they come one after the other to read, and then the teacher will evaluate the student one by one, the student this time around will bring up their computer or their tablet or their mobile phone, read to the reading coach, and while they're reading, it takes note of their mispronunciations, their omissions, their repetitions, and the speed. And at the end of the day, it will come up with the analytics and give that to the teacher, and will even help the student and say, oh, these are the words that you need to, learn how to pronounce better, and then give them the correct pronunciation and make them pronounce the words. These are some tools that they can use for free. This one is free out there, Microsoft Reading Coach is out there. And then you also have other tools like Immersive Reader. This one is cool. It's embedded inside Microsoft Word. It's on Microsoft Edge browser or different applications. This will disarticulate the words into different parts of speeches, you know, verb, pronoun, and all that, break it into syllables and help the student to be able to easily understand what they're reading. And you can even toggle from dark mode to light mode in case, you know, you've got people that have been affected with all those things. These are other tools that we've been kind of working with teachers to be able to see how to use them. You know, at times it's not about all those highly sophisticated, expensive tools out there, but the goal is how can you leverage the basic tools and available to you to get the maximum result at the end of the day. Dr. John mentioned text to speech, you know, speech to text, you know, vice versa. You now have AI tools that can do all this without even mentioning all those large language models out there, you know, Gemini, ChatGPT, and all that can help students, you know, you want to read out, you want it to read it to you, and then you better understand, or you want to be reading and at the same time the listening too. So these are tools that can support teachers when it comes to personalized learning. And then the last part is the assistive technologies and tools that can now, you know, support the students on their own, and even teachers too. You know, I've been focusing more on the student now. Teachers still do administrative tasks in school. So, you know, they need to save some time to be able to focus more on supporting the students' emotional needs and some other things. So if they have AI tools that can help them with their grading, that can help them, you know, to do certain administrative repetitive tasks, then they will have enough time to now do the real work that they should be doing in the classroom. So yes, AI can support teachers with all these things. So machine can invite brilliance, you know, not necessarily create brilliance, but it can clear the noise around the thoughts. It can allow the deeper patterns of human cognition to unfold. So this is how we need to continue to communicate with our teachers. I've seen this on the field, just like Mr. John said, we need to do more around teacher training across Africa and then support them so that they can support our students, and then we start building that future that we so desire to see in Africa.
Great conversation. I'm loving where we're going with this. And again, brilliant insights. Let me come to you, Hugh, and let's talk about designing from experience. Now, your work brings together design, education, and technology to make learning more inclusive and help people write with confidence. Now, as someone who is both a designer and dyslexic, now tell us about your personal experience and how it has helped shape the way you build tools that can be used, including, Typo is one for you that's can be used, and what insights can you give us as regards how educators can gain from using that and seeing learning through the eyes of a dyslexic person? Now, you have both the knowledge and the experience. Tell us more about that.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. Thank you very much. And I think the framing is really crucial, and it's already been touched on earlier in the keynotes, that we should very much be coming at these problems from the perspective of really distilling what is the problem that we're trying to solve, not just creating tools for the sake of it. Now, having gone through the education system and received some great learning interventions, when I think back to the interventions that were the most effective, I think personalization is key. Now, often my experience was that a lot of interventions, students with special educational needs were grouped together. Now, you can understand why resources are limited, but the reality is even those who are dyslexic, one dyslexic individual to another, their needs vary dramatically. And I think this is perhaps an opportunity where AI presents a real opportunity to really break through the barrier that creates. So there's a really fascinating piece of research called Bloom's 2 Sigma problem. You may well have come across it, but essentially it speaks to the impact of personalized tutoring. So they had 2 cohorts of students, one control group who was learning through more conventional methods. Then the other group had access to one-on-one tutoring, and they used techniques like mastery learning and personalizing content to meet the learner exactly where they were on their journey. Now, the group that had access to that one-on-one tutoring, the average pupil performed better than the 98th percentile, so 2 standard deviation points, which is a dramatic improvement. Now, historically, that's been a problem because one-on-one tutoring is expensive, but with the advent of AI, being able to detect an individual's specific challenges and then personalize that content to account for those challenges, suddenly the cost comes right down, and there's an opportunity to make access to this one-on-one tutoring for far more accessible, which is incredibly exciting. So I think it's through that lens that we can support teachers by building tools to identify gaps and then deliver content that meets learners where they are in their journey. I'd say that'd be my response.
Thank you so much, Hugh. Great start. I must mention specificity is key to designing, and of course, talking from a personal place, helping others achieve or use the full benefits of these tools. I like the fact that you mentioned that. Let me come back to you, Professor Papa, and let's talk about your 3D Lexia for English method, which is something you came up with. Now, what practical ways do you think we can, teachers and parents, more like, because it's a two-way thing. We're not just talking teachers, we're also talking parents. They're also important to this whole conversation. So what practical ways can teachers and parents use AI to make learning more inclusive for children? And of course, with dyslexia and other learning differences that you can possibly think of.
Yes, we have already mentioned a lot of resources. Mr. Olalekan and also Hugh, they mentioned already so many resources like Immersive Reader. It is a free tool by Microsoft. You can find it in OneNote and Word, that it can actually personalize reading and writing by customizing everything. It's incredible. I was crying when I saw this tool because I said to myself, oh my God, this is a completely different era. Because now students can be independent learners. They can use these tools at home, and they can actually pave their own way independently without being relied on anyone to develop themselves. So we need to give these tools like Immersive Reader, like another one I recently actually discovered it, and I was also thrilled, by Google Notebook LM. It's an incredible tool that you can upload any resource that you want there, like different links, different videos, different text. It can synthesize it from students that they are researchers, from high school students that they can really are overwhelmed by all these reading textbooks, and they cannot. It's not easy for them, especially for students with dyslexia, to read and synthesize through textbooks whatever they want. This tool can transform information into any kind of different learning path that you can imagine, from mind maps to videos to podcasts to anything that you can imagine. So instantly, you could just upload your resources, and it can personalize everything that you want according to the question that you're going to that you need to be answered. So you can use from very complicated tools to very simple tools like Quizlet. We're using Quizlet in I Love Dyslexia to enhance vocabulary learning to our students who learn English as a foreign language. These are so quick, easy tools that you can use to actually empower independent learning, which is incredible. You don't need a teacher anymore to learn all the mechanical part of learning. You need the teacher as a storyteller, as a mentor, as a human who is going to inspire the students to use AI to empower themselves and to empower and bring out the brilliance that they already have to transform the world. So now the teachers and the parents can really feel stress-free by using these tools to allow themselves to the tools to do all the dirty work, all the work that takes all the energy and the time out of them, in order to allow them to give their spirit, their storytelling part of their personality, their mentorship, and their inspiration to the students, which is so important, because most of the time we are so overwhelmed as teachers, as parents, to create these sources alone. Now we don't have to do this alone. We have our co-workers right there for us, so we can connect with our heart and with our mind, with the brilliance of our students and our children also as parents, to actually focus where they need us the most, their heart, their mind, so we can be more relaxed as teachers, more relaxed as parents, to allow our own love to thrive and connect with our students and our children. Without this kind of technology, we would never be able to achieve it. So we need to amplify our efforts by using in the right way the technology that we can create. But also, I would like to mention here about technology that we can now create in minutes in order to be able to amplify our own personal visions as educators, as parents. If you just go now and you Google ChatGPT Mission Agape, agape in ancient Greek means the highest form of ecumenical love, you could be able to find a chatbot that we have created to allow teachers, students, and parents all over the world instantly to get to know about the United Nations 17 Goals of Sustainable Development and make any kind of question to this chatbot, which is organized by us, by me and my team, to get to know instantly about these challenges and how they can use technology to enhance their creativity and imagination to solve the biggest human problem, the 17 Goals of Sustainable Development. So we are actually now in a position to create a chatbot or AI tools instantly with the team of our co-workers to solve the problem that we imagine that we want to be solved. And this can, bring curiosity and enthusiasm in every classroom, because we take learning away from reading and writing, and we put learning into how we can actually use the reading and writing, your reading and writing efforts to solve human problems. And by giving purpose to all students, not only students with dyslexia, but to typical learners too, by using AI technology to give them purposeful learning, because we lack sometimes purpose of learning when it's so mechanical. Because unfortunately, even today, mainstream schools teaching it through a mechanical way, through memorization, as Mr. Kamara was mentioning before. So we need to give purpose to education, and AI can also help us to give this purpose. If you just explore this free tool that I just gave you, which is created there to empower humanity, you will understand that it is our hand. The future is in our hands if we only know how to create technology that can solve human problems and give purpose to us as teachers, the parents, and to students who are bored in mechanical learning environments, but they need purpose, they need tools to thrive and discover their own brilliance.
Refreshing. Again, thank you so much, Professor Papa, for that wonderful insight. Now, we've talked about the technology. We've also mentioned and expatiated on the knowledge. Now, let's talk about accessibility, which is one thing that's very key to all of this. And for Africa in particular, I want to ask you, Mr. Olalekan, Africa in particular, there's no gainsaying that Africa is not as advanced as other continents. And so whatever benefits these AI tools and these methods of learning bring to people, we're maybe a few years behind it because of accessibility and all of that. Now, let's talk about access remaining a big challenge for Africa. Now, how can AI tools such as EduBox innovation help ensure that AI-driven learning reaches students, especially those, and this must be mentioned, those in low connectivity sort of areas and schools? How can we bridge that gap, and how can we ensure that EduBox, for one, can reach students in low connectivity or resources as well, limited environments, without excluding anyone, or should I say leaving anyone behind?
Yeah, Thank you. And you're right by saying how do we support people in where you have lower bandwidth and connectivity and all that. And it's true. We've got many schools without even electricity, let alone internet. And then you're talking about a lot of computer systems. In school, while I was still actively teaching in secondary school, I taught computer studies for about 16 years, before leaving 2021. And in my computer class, in our textbooks, we often define digital divide as people with access to computer system and people without access to computer system. But today that has changed in a way, because we are now saying, okay, people that have access to AI and can use AI and people without access. For some of the schools and the low community, they are still battling with access to computer system, and now we are talking about AI. So if we are not careful, we're just going to continue to widen the gap. So what do we do instead? So we can adopt what we call low bandwidth and maybe mobile first strategies. Use tools that will not rely heavily on the internet. You mentioned EduBox. I'll give you like a background to EduBox and what EduBox is doing today regarding helping people with low bandwidth and all that. I was still teaching in 2018, and on a fateful day, we got to the school on a Monday morning and the library was completely burnt down. Something happened on the Sunday, and on Monday, all the books, everything gone. So I sat down and I was like, oh, so what becomes of my students? So won't they need access to any form of support in books and all that? I started my research and then I jumped on Raspberry Pi and then say, oh, this can actually be deployed to act as a remote access content hotspot for education and learning. So I did that and built like my first MVP, got open education resources, put it on EduBox. So this is how it works. When you switch it on, it works like a router, like your telecom router. It homes a Wi-Fi. So all devices around can see the Wi-Fi, connect to the Wi-Fi, and then have access to the content on it. So it's as if you're browsing on the internet, but you're not connected to the internet. You're connected to the box and you've got access to the content on the box. So I just did that for fun in my school until when, Union Banks, there's a competition for EdTech innovation in Nigeria. I had to pitch that and we won the best EdTech solution in Nigeria in 2018 then. But right now, what we are doing with EduBox with AI is now trying to change it in a way and modify it to now help do more. I was at Microsoft headquarters in March and I attended the session. We're to build an AI agent. So I was one of the first set of people to complete my task. So they gave us a gift and they gave me an NVIDIA Jet Nano, device. So I looked up the Jet Nano. I said, what is this all about? How can this help? So right now we're leveraging that to deploy our own LLM, to deploy any of those open source LLM locally on the Jet Nano device. So this time around, EduBox will not only give access to the static resources, it will also give access to offline open source large language models. So people can connect to it and then be chatting with it, be asking it personalized question. Schools can tweak it, can fine tune it, put their own knowledge base so that it's fetching directly from their own content. So that is what we've kind of turned EduBox to now, although it's not finished yet, but this is the idea so that schools can now have access to these even without internet. You still have access to where you have resources, where you can also chat with open AIs, the large language model. They also have the open source now, or maybe you want to deploy Llama or you want to deploy, any of those open LLM. So that is what that is doing. And beyond our own EduBox, Google also have their Google AI Edge Gallery. So this one, you can run large language model on your mobile phone without internet. So you can still chat with it and say, oh, define this for me. So even without internet, you can still use it offline. So in Africa, we need to look more, especially where we do not have a bandwidth or internet access, and look at, low bandwidth and mobile first strategies, so that we, in a way, don't just close our eyes and say, oh, it's not possible because We don't have, you don't have Starlinks, or we don't have this internet here and there. We just need to continue to do our own, because the foundational approach for bridging the digital divide involve designing AI systems that minimize reliance on robust internet infrastructure. And I think this is where we can begin to look at, and it starts with training of our teachers to recognize this. The training in AI for educators starts from awareness. Let them be aware that there is something called AI. That's the starting line. Then once they are aware, we move up the ladder to the competence. Let's train them on how to use the tool. And this involves acknowledging the risk also. So we are not just saying, oh, AI is a superpower, it can do this. What are the risks involved? And when they are well grounded in terms of competence, then we talk about integration and application of AI in the classroom. So this is what I believe we can begin to preach, anytime we've got training for our teachers. I'm kind of part of the education department or whatever in African Union. So anytime we're having African Union Education Summit and all that, some of us will come in and we look at the thing. The good thing is we've got solid plans. We've got solid plans in terms of researches, in terms of policies, in terms of, but the implementation oftentimes is the problem. You've got the books, you've got what UNESCO is saying in terms of AI competency for teachers and all that. Then we begin to look at it. Why are we not doing this? So this is what I feel we can start doing. Talk to the teacher so that they identify this. Talk to the school leadership too, so that they identify this and they are able to work together as a team. Then we can support our students and have a better technology blueprint for our schools and for education at large.
Great stuff. The fact that such a compound tool in terms of possibilities is so basic and easily understandable is something I particularly find interesting, Mr. Olalekan. So thank you for that thought and that explanation. Now, Hugh, let me come back to you and ask you about, in terms of the digital tools. I mean, it's one thing to create a tool. It's another thing to talk about interface, style, and all of that when you create these tools. And for you personally, tell us about how you design practically your choices of layouts, the style and interface. How can that make a difference in terms of teaching people with dyslexia in classrooms or at home? What goes into your style of designing to help this specific or to identify these specific needs?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's all sorts of accessibility standards out there that kind of lay out the sorts of affordances and adaptations that you need to make to ensure that the products that you're building are suited to a wider audience as possible. But I think if there's kind of one trick or tip to ensure what you're building really solves the problem, nothing beats being in the room with the individual, building and testing in real time. I think so many challenges can be so kind of localized and unique to each individual that the only way to really know is to be in the room and make sure when you're building these systems, you're not building in isolation. You're kind of co-designing and working with the people who are actually facing these problems firsthand and working with them in the room. I think again, kind of innovating where it matters and keeping systems as removing complexity where it's not necessary. So rather than trying to kind of innovate on everything simultaneously, focus on that kind of point of differentiation which your product solving for, but then seek to keep other areas of the product more simplified and remove that need for complexity, because it's all of those additional layers of complexity that just create that extra cognitive load that perhaps isn't necessary. I think another one that we've been really focused on is the positive framing. Everyone has their own challenges, and rather than framing them as mistakes and problems, framing them more optimistically and kind of rewarding users positively for their progress. So rather than necessarily building systems that seek to compare people against one another, looking to kind of challenge people against their own capabilities and abilities. So rewarding things like consistency and personal progress rather than comparing peers one to another. And I think another important aspect is that of cognitive offloading. So we shouldn't be designing tools that seek to solve problems for us. We should be looking to design systems that actually help guide us to the solution for ourselves. So rather than building crutches, like a lot of kind of existing accessibility tools out there provide, there's certainly a space for corrective tools, but actually, if we're looking to really solidify learning, it's about creating companions rather than crutches. So rather than feeding us the answer immediately, building systems that help us get there in our own way. So yeah, that's the focus.
Great. Thank you so much, Hugh. Now, let's quickly, as we wrap up the session, I'd like to go on and on and on because I have so many questions, but then we will have another session to come. So final round of questions for everyone. Let me come back to you, Professor Papa, and let's talk about reimagining learning and the experience for the future. Now, you've talked a lot about the pedagogy of love, that term, the pedagogy of love. Tell us more about that and how can educators and parents apply that particular philosophy, if I can put it that way, in today's world that we know it's increasingly likely that we're shaped by AI tools to raise creative. I mean, we're talking today about the future of talent with Rewired and the theme for this event. So tell us about that idea, that philosophy about the pedagogy of love and how parents can apply that.
It's not only about parents, it's about how the whole school paradigm, the educational paradigm should be transformed, especially because we are driven by the AI era. So right now, it is important to highlight how the ethos of pedagogy of higher ecumenical love and deep values of understanding who we really truly are and teaching a child from a perspective of respecting the depth of its soul, of its holistic being, not only as a human being, but even on a quantum level, as an energetic cosmic frequency. It's so important to combine this philosophy of pedagogy of higher love, which is actually deep self-awareness, understanding who we truly are, going back to Socrates, who am I really? And if we do understand who we are, the brilliance of the cosmic energy and frequency that we bring within our quantum self, because, we are layered human beings. We're not just the biological human beings that we study through the brain. We're also quantum, we have the quantum level of ourselves, human consciousness. We need to start talking about heart-mind coherence, how we can expand human consciousness by using technology, how we can advance science in combination with technology. Mr. Kamara talked about neuroscience before, and it is so crucial to combine harmoniously technology, science, and art. This is the essence of actually understanding human potential in its full development, not to isolate technology from science and art. We need to harmonize the triumphs of these different pillars, and to actually understand that if we want to maximize the potential of AI and technology, we need to harmoniously combine it with neuroscience and art. I'm actually collaborating with Medical School of Harvard, Dr. Andriani Rina. She's, and a lot of doctors and researchers, brain researchers, and professors in the Harvard Medical School have helped me to understand how human brain works and translate this into pedagogical methodologies that can amplify learning by stimulating the whole brain, right and left hemisphere, but also go beyond the brain, understanding human consciousness in heart and heart-mind intelligence. You can actually go to Arxiv and Google introducing a 3D Dyslexia method. You will see Dr. Andriani from Medical School and my journal. Well, we're going to publish actually next week in frontiers in education, but it is already preprint there. So you can see how we can combine and understand, and we can develop pedagogy for higher love, which is deep self-awareness and respect for human soul, holistically and transformatively, to make sure that we are going to use AI into the most ethical way to solve human problems, to reveal the brilliance of the heart and the mind of human beings who are here to move on to a new transformative era for pedagogy. This is not only about the huge revolution of technology. It's about the revolution of the whole human potential right now. And we're moving from new paradigms in education. We need to redefine who we really are. And AI and technology, in order to be ethically used, is returning the eyes into human beings, who we truly are as human beings, that we're going to guide technology into a new earth that we envision, an earth of peace, earth of sustainability, prosperity for everyone, an earth that our children deserves, an earth that can actually become the mirror of the deepest, higher frequency that we as human beings can carry inside of us, only when we are connected with our heart and mind in harmony. So technology is going to actually lead the way only if human beings are harmoniously connected through their heart and mind. And that's why we need to transform the educational paradigm right now into the most ethical, pedagogical paradigm that can create human beings that they will respect and use technology, science, and art in a harmonious way to create the new earth that our children deserve, a much better earth than the one that they inherited from us right now.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Professor Papa. Well said. Mr. Olaleko, for the next 1 minute, tell us about cultural relevance of AI tools. I mean, in Nigeria, we know there are many, like every other country, there are many different languages that we do. How can you adopt, or the importance of creating these tools to make it culturally relevant to the people who are going to use it? Tell us about that very quickly for the next 1 minute.
All right, thank you. A brother of mine recently reached out and said, can we create, an AI model to speak Ijebu language? So I just laughed and like
Yoruba language and the like.
He wants us to, not just Yoruba now, he's now being specific that it should speak our own dialect. One thing is the Yoruba, the other thing is now bringing it down to a specific demographic of people, Yoruba language. So what am I trying to say? It's a long journey, right? But because of what it entails, what it's involved in building all these large language models or fine-tuning it or trying to bring it down to our own context, it's a lot of work. But what we can do in the interim is for us to be able to, adapt what is out there, because it's a lot of work in terms of supply, in terms of technology, in terms of, infrastructure needed for us to now say we want to build our own LLM locally. But what we can do is work with what is out there and then see how we can, create something out of it in form of our own application, build on top the model, and then introduce our own context, our own, kind of way of doing things. So for AI system to be successful and scalable in our own world there, it has to integrate contextual understanding, going beyond mere translation to include region-specific examples, curriculum variation, local idioms, and, because this is when we can now foster a stronger sense of authenticity and belongings for our students. We don't want to be using AI tools and then all examples, everything we're talking about sounds, foreign. They don't even understand all these things. So we can fine tune the models, to local, cultural, and socioeconomic context, to accurately interpret the user inputs and then avoid misinterpretation. Because if we don't do that, we will be getting a lot of misinterpretations, hallucinations, and all that, because the data used in training it, maybe most of the data are being sourced from out there and not here. And I know the government is doing a lot of work regarding that now. So they are trying to create data so that we can fine tune it. We now have NC here on Hugging Face that can help us even deal with voices in Yoruba, in Pidgin, in Igbo, and Hausa. So these are projects that are being done just to help us to be able to do this, just to bring it closer to the people. So when I'm creating animation, I want it to speak Yoruba fluently. It's able to take note of the intonation and the signs and all that. So this is where we are. And I believe it's a work in progress. We all can continue to build on this and to help our students.
Thank you. Thank you. Brilliant. Brilliant. I'm going to come to the final question for this part of the session. Hugh, let me talk to you. Traditional text-based learning, how do you think AI is changing the future for writing and literacy, especially for learners?
Yeah, definitely. So I think, obviously, as we've seen the advent of these language models, there's obviously that concern that, what does that mean for the future of writing and literacy? Because their impact has been nothing short of profound. Now, I think important to note that I think the writing and literacy isn't going anywhere anytime soon. I think it's always going to remain an important skill. Because it's those who have the greatest kind of baseline level of mastery over these domains that are going to be able to get the most out of steering these models to create an output that they desire. So it remains important for us to build these skills and not to rely on these models as crutches. That said, those who traditionally do face challenges with reading, with writing, it can very much be a kind of a constraint on the bandwidth for the rate at which they can kind of convey their ideas, and also the rate at which they can learn. And I think important to think about literacy not just from the perspective of reading, writing, spelling, which I think it has been conventionally in the classroom, but actually with the advent of speech-to-speech models, that actually this opens up a huge opportunity to increase the bandwidth of information that pupils who previously struggled this opens up an opportunity for them to learn and communicate at a far faster speed than traditional methods have facilitated for them. So I think speech to speech is a really exciting trend, because it closes that learning feedback loop. I think that ability to receive a verbal piece of information, to kind of synthesize that in your own mind and repeat that back, that loop can be far faster than consuming perhaps written and typed content. So I very much see that as an area for growth, and very much encourage people to explore the tools available out there, those speech to speech models, because they're improving at a really dramatic rate. And I think there's a huge opportunity for learning and growth there. And I think just to plug one final tool, one that I'm using on a day-to-day basis, it's called Whisper Flow, and it's a transcription tool, and obviously transcription tools have existed for a very long time, but I think they've become increasingly more robust now and incredibly responsive. And it just means the ability to think out loud, work through an idea, and then get it down into writing far faster than I would have been able to do previously has been incredibly transformative for me. So I would highly encourage everyone else to go and have a look at that as well. Exciting times.
Well said. Well said. Thank you. Thank you so much for that brilliant insight. I mean, I've had fun moderating this, and we've talked a lot. I mean, from the conversations of design, importance, and all of that, it's been such a great conversation. And I'm sure people who are watching on YouTube and also part of this discussion session have been very much informed and also educated about how we can best adopt AI tools. I mean, I think the central theme here has got to be that AI doesn't replace It only enhances and how best to make it work better for everybody, not just those with dyslexia, but also for everyone, how best parents, teachers, workplaces, and all of that. We can all use that to the benefit of the society. Again, Professor Angeliki Papa, thank you so much for taking time to talk with us. For the benefit of those listening, Professor Angeliki Papa is a global pioneer in inclusive education and founder of I Love Dyslexia in Greece. Professor Papa, thank you so much. Also, we have had the pleasure of having with us Mr. Olaliko Adeko, the co-founder of TED Prime Limited. And of course, he's a Microsoft MVP and told us a bit about that, and also a certified trainer as well. Mr. Adeko, thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure.
And of course, Mr. Hugh Johnson, co-founder of Typo.app, which is an AI-powered writing coach helping people write with confidence. He's a dyslexia innovator and a digital designer, more importantly. Hugh, thank you so much.
A pleasure. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you very much.
All right. What a brilliant session we've had. And of course, more to come on this part of this dialogue. It is still the 5th Africa Dyslexia Dialogue, which is proudly hosted by Dyslexia Nigeria. Now, we've got a second discussion or panel discussion to come. But before we get into all of that, let's talk about something which is the Ready to Read program. Now, what do you know to be the Ready to Read program? I hear you ask. Now, it's powered by Dyslexia Nigeria. Of course it is. It is a transformative literacy initiative aimed at improving literacy rates among primary one pupils in Lagos State public primary schools and providing targeted support through specialized teacher training. Now, dyslexia affects up to 20% of any population. Now, that's a huge number. In Nigeria, particularly, this translates to over 36 million individuals who are at risk. That makes it more important that you watch what we're about to show you next.
Dyslexia is a learning difference that's characterized by difficulties with language processing. So what that means is you find difficulty with reading, writing, and spelling.
The Ready to Read program is designed so that we can enable teachers who spend so many hours with children in classrooms every day to spot the early signs of dyslexia and then to know what strategies to put in place within and outside the classroom that enable them overcome those challenges and arrive at a point where they're performing at and above grade level.
Bella Disu Foundation is the sponsor of this edition of the Ready to Read program.
I've always been thinking that the pupils are lazy to learn. But to my surprise, I discovered that yes, I was so wrong. And I've actually dealt wrongly with some of the pupils that I've taught. But now that I discovered the truth about dyslexia, it has really impacted so much in my class.
This course has really opened my eyes to the fact that any child with the right guidance, you can get the best out of the child, especially those that are dyslexic.
Raw.
Raw.
Sat.
Sat.
Balo.
Balo.
For every child that we identify, for every teacher that we train, for every parent that feels supported, we know that we are on the journey to creating an environment, a society where dyslexia is no longer a barrier, that everybody has the chance to succeed. This is why this work is so rewarding.
We're so grateful to the Bella Disu Foundation for supporting this program and giving us an opportunity to expand this impact to many, many more children across Lagos State and Nigeria in general.
Great, great, great. Lovely, lovely. Talking about the Ready to Read program, which is powered by Dyslexia Nigeria and is a transformative literacy initiative aimed at improving literacy rates among primary pupils in Lagos State primary schools. Now, according to UNICEF, just a quick stat for you, UNICEF's 2023 Nigeria Education Fact Sheet. Now, 24% of Nigerian children aged 14 to 16 have not completed primary school education. That's a take home for everyone, and the need, or the more reason why we need to really step up our plans to make the society a better one using these AI-powered tools and all of that to make it better. Now, during the first panel session, we did have a couple of questions coming to us. Unfortunately, because of time, we couldn't take them, but special appreciation to everyone watching on YouTube and tuned into this. Simon Niam, we appreciate you for your message. You did ask, and also, we also had Onyinye Osunwoke, I hope I said that correctly, also with a question talking about how, for Simon, he asked, how do we make educational systems, including schools, the administrators and teachers, adapt and adopt AI for themselves? Brilliant question there, and I'm sure the panelists did touch on that as well. And also, he did ask, while the integration of technology and innovation tools in education is promising, in reality, how have these applications truly taken root within Nigeria's educational system? Continue to appreciate all your thoughts, and we might, if we do have time, be taking some of 1 or 2 questions when we do get into that second panel discussion. But thank you so much. That first panel was themed and focused on AI and learning for a new generation. Can machines teach human brilliance? And of course, we did know we got a lot from that. Now, let's get into the second panel discussion. And it's going to be interesting, must be mentioned, because we're going to be looking at the new creators, why the future belongs to neurodiverse minds. That's as brilliant as it gets for any dialogue. And of course, it promises to be very, very interesting. Now, I'm going to introduce to you the moderator for that one. First of the panelists, we've got James Amuta and Israel Obasola. I'm not going to go more into the details. Let me introduce the moderator for that. She is going to be handling that one. She's Mrs. Olaide Odediran. She'll be taking charge of that panel discussion indeed. So we also have the likes of Alice Agre on this session with us, and of course, many others joined in for this. Olaide, thank you so much for being here. I'm going to be handing over to you now so you can do us a proper introduction, because I can go on and on and on and on, but you tell us more about this. Thank you so much, Olaide.
Thank you so much, Sam. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear, loud and clear.
Wonderful. Thanks for being an exceptional host, and welcome everyone to the second panel. It's been a very exciting conversation. The first panel was very interesting, learned so much from there. And it's always difficult following something so engaging, but I know we're up to the task. So welcome to our second panel. Our brilliant keynote speaker, John Kamara, has positioned us very well for today. When we talk about rewiring the brain for talent, and rewiring, really, we're thinking about the brain, but he talked about rewiring the African mindset and helping us remember that talent, as art, as code, as rhythm and reason, they all spring from the same spark, from the human mind in motion. So our conversation today is inviting us to remember that brilliance rarely, almost never, fits into boxes. It dances sometimes to places that we're unfamiliar, in art, in music, in cooking, in design, in story. And those are all of the wonderful areas that our panelists are today. So we're not here to define intelligence. We're here to expand our idea of intelligence and to see dyslexia, ADHD, dyspraxia, and every part of our thinking and creativity skills that move us into the right brain, not as limits, but as languages of our imagination. So let's hold a space of curiosity as I welcome my panelists. James Amuta does not need any introductions, but here it is anyway. A multi-award-winning Nigeria film producer, director, aerial cinematographer. James is a Nigerian film producer, as I've said, born and raised in Lagos. He's best known for his documentary film, Nightfall in Lagos, nominated for the Best Documentary Film in 2018 by the Africa Magic Viewers' Choice Award. He served as producer of the critically acclaimed Netflix original film, Oloture, and co-producer of the successful film, Your Excellency, Eleshionba, as well, The King's Postman. Writer and director of Biocuriosity, shortlisted as a finalist by the Colorado Film Institute, a poet and author. Absolutely incredible profile. Welcome, James Amuta. Thank you so much for joining us today. Israel Obashola, also needing no introduction, someone I call the digital dreamer. He's a Nigerian animator, illustrator, content creator, and his work uses visual arts with storytelling and music. From a young age in Lagos, he was drawn to cartoons, comic books, and superheroes, an inspiration that has shaped his creative journey. And over the years, he's built a significant online presence, collaborating, creating viral animated videos, and producing brand content across social media platforms. Welcome, Israel Obashola.
Thank you.
And
thank you very much.
Alice Agre Orleans, the person I call the culinary alchemist, founder of Eclectic Food. She's built an international career creating bespoke dining experiences for distinguished clients across Europe, the Caribbean, Africa, and the United States. Alice was diagnosed with dyslexia and dyspraxia at age 25 and has become a passionate advocate for neurodiversity, using her story to inspire others to embrace their differences as strengths as she and creative approach to food feature prominently in Black, Brilliant, and Dyslexic, a celebrated collection of stories highlighting successful Black professionals with learning differences. Alice was recognized as one of the 50 most influential neurodiverse women by Women Beyond the Ball. As both a culinary innovator and a role model for the neurodiverse community. Welcome, Alice. What an exceptional bio that is. And I'm really honored to host this conversation with you all. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, every creator has a story, not just of success, but of discovery. And I think just to break the ice, I'll ask you each in maybe 30 seconds to share a moment when your difference became your gift. And I'll start with you, James.
Oh, well, first of all, I'm not dyslexic. I haven't been diagnosed as dyslexic, but I made a documentary film about dyslexia. And while I was making that film, I learned a lot about the learning difference. And yes, I think I worked closely with a colleague of mine that has dyslexia. And I refer to her as a robot because I haven't seen somebody more methodical who pays attention to detail. She sees things that you can't even see with a microscope. She pays attention to detail, and yeah. So there's a lot. When I first learned about dyslexia, and I asked her, so are you? And she confirmed. She said yes. So, well, we'll get into that. It's 30 seconds. Let me not take up other people's time.
Thank you so much. And I don't want to put you on the spot assuming that you're dyslexic. Like I said, you know, all of the strengths of dyslexia are also right brain strengths. And for you to succeed in the field that you are in, you do have exceptional right brain strengths of creativity. So please
I wish I was
join us
dyslexic. I actually wish I was, because I think it's a superpower, actually, you know, because I really want to unlock. I know I have a lot of stuff in my head, but I wish I also had dyslexia. Yeah, I really wish. Maybe I should come for diagnosis. Yeah. But I'm also a writer and I don't have problems with spelling, so I'm not sure that applies. But all the other ones on the spectrum, I'm sure I have like 80% of them.
Well, it's always a great way to experience the multidimensional nature of dyslexia. As you said, sometimes you find the signs, sometimes you don't. And really, we're all on a spectrum. Thank you very much. Alice, your turn.
Right.
Where did your own show up?
It didn't show up till much later on in my life, so maybe 25. So that's when I got diagnosed. But at the time, it wasn't a positive experience. It was quite negative. But I think learning about catering. So as a young child, my mother was teaching me all the catering tricks, because my mum used to be a lecturer she was training young chefs. But at the time, learning with her, I just thought that that's what all kids did. But without realizing it, she was teaching me to become a chef. So I guess that's where my strengths sort of came through.
Wow, thank you so much, Alice. Yes, sometimes it's what happens in the background, in the early days when we don't even know where we're going to be, that does shape the pathway that we follow. Israel, so interested in hearing where your difference showed up as your gift.
Yeah, so I grew up left-handed, which is another story being in Nigeria. So
yes, absolutely.
I had some difficulty with writing letters and reading letters. And I think the one that particularly stood out to me was my difficulty with the small letter B and small letter D. It was a big problem. And then the number 9 and the letter P was also a very, very big problem. So it was very easy. And their method then was to flog you when you get something wrong. So you kind of equate how often you get flogged to how bad you are doing. And I think that was a problem up until my maybe primary 6, when my interest in drawing and writing stories really came out. And I think just putting out my stories and giving them to my classmates and watching them enjoy it, I just figured out then that there's nothing wrong with me, like if this can come out of this same mind that people are saying, that my parents are so worried about, then it's not, I don't think there's something. I think it's just about channeling the energy. So yeah, that was my experience.
Thank you so much. Those are some really common signs that we see, those inversions. And I can't wait to explore later how that shows up as the exceptional part of your work today. But there's something you mentioned about how you were treated in school, and how school saw your gift as really a difficulty and something to beat out of you. And that's that in many African homes, intelligence is still defined by grades, by certificates. And many of our innovators, artists, creators, are referenced as dropouts because they do leave school without sometimes us realizing that their leaving is a rebellion against the misalignment of themselves, not because they're rebelling against learning. Alice, I'm going to come to you, especially in an international career in food that's rarely seen as academic. How did you navigate those early judgments of intelligence or success?
Well, when I finished secondary school, I did my primary schooling in Ghana, which I was beaten all the time because I just wasn't excelling. And then I did my secondary school here. It's only when I went to university here that I got diagnosed. But I had already started my chefing course before I went to university. I went as a mature student. But Ghana, when I was in primary school in Ghana, the way we were taught is that you just memorize and then you just recite. So for example, we all had to stand up in class and then recite the times table. So you had to, and every single day we did this, and I got beaten every single day. Reading out loud also was a struggle for me, and my writing was also problematic. But when I went to, so I finished secondary school, my grades weren't good, and then I was told that my life was over. There was nothing I could do with those grades. Then I went to chefing college, graduated, and then became a chef. And through working as a chef, working for institutions, I realized that wasn't really working for me. So then I set up my own company because that way I could be my own boss. I could work at my own pace and be as creative as I wanted to be. And then I also did some time in restaurants, but I couldn't figure out why restaurants weren't working for me. I struggled a lot in restaurants. And because being dyspraxic as well, it was a lot of trying to process all the information. So imagine being in a really stressful environment, and then you've got all this noise in the background. You're having to see the checks come through. You're going to have to remember the table numbers, read what the customers have ordered. It was just too much. So I only spent a short time in restaurants, and now working as a private chef, it's a bit more relaxed. I call the shots, and I realized that that's really the area that I should focus on. And then I can be as creative as I want. So that was a strength for me. I realized that being a private chef was much, much better for me.
Wow, thank you. Yeah, being a private chef, and you talked about, you used the word wanting to be creative, and that's what really made you set up your own company, but also the idea that a creative space, when we think about a restaurant, for example, still might not be an environment where you're thriving. It's very, very interesting there. Yeah. And it's taking me away from the personal experience to the societal experience. You know, what are we creating for talents to thrive in? And I'm really going to come to you, James, on this, because you tell so many complex social realities in your stories. What do you see as the sort of environment we are creating? When you think about your colleague who you said was methodical, a robot, really, someone who was thriving in so many ways, how do you think we've shaped a culture that supports or doesn't support her through the stories that you tell?
Basically, I'm going to be very honest. I think globally, the film industry is one of the most accommodating industries for dyslexics, even in Nigeria, because one thing you need to understand about the film industry is we don't really care if you know how to read, as long as you understand the text and you're able to replicate what's on the text, which is exceptionally difficult for actors, right? If you have dyslexia, you have to read the screenplay, which most times is between 90 pages and 120 pages. And you have to kind of internalize all these lines, right? But there's a simple hack to it for a dyslexic mind, which is having it read out loud to you or figuring out your own process and internalizing it. So the bottom line is, as long as you can internalize the line, you're fine as an actor. But for the creative departments, I'm going to be very honest though, I think I prefer to work with dyslexics. Look at my colleague, for instance. I think she's one of the most efficient creative machines I've encountered in my life. She's a cyborg. Nobody can tell me otherwise. Like, seriously, I don't think she's human. I think she's on a different level, because she gets on. I get on set before everybody and I leave after everybody, but she gets on set before me. I'm like, ha, you know, and she studies the text. She knows the text like the back of her hands. Like, she can do rewrites on the spot. She understands the entire project from the beginning to the end. She can see how it's going to turn out in post-production. And then once she's in post-production, she remembers everything that was done there. She might not probably know the file name or something, but she knows that you shot this and will bring your attention to it. She can tell when something is wrong, you know, even if she can't really point it out, but it's wrong, something here. And then you look close. When you look closely, you say, oh, damn, how did I make this mistake? Something was obviously very wrong. So you need a mind like that when it comes to developing projects. So the film industry is very accommodating. Like, I don't care if you know how to read, write, whatever. You're a production designer, you're able to understand the space and interpret it in a professional manner. You know, I wouldn't have known that she was dyslexic if I hadn't done that documentary. So it was during the process of doing the documentary that I now understood that, oh, these are the symptoms, which, by the way, I have to apologize to Israel for all the beatings and bullying you received. I was one of those bullies that didn't understand, which was why I made the documentary, out of guilt, because we didn't understand why, something simple. Just read the thing. It's very simple, and it was difficult for a few people. We couldn't understand it, and Olodo and co started, and yeah, because some of us were lucky to have excelled academically, and all that, but we were also very restless, so we liked picking on people. And when I discovered that, oh, seriously, these people are better than me, and I'm picking on them, I had to make that documentary to actually educate people. See, listen, I envy minds like that. So the film industry is very accommodating. Tom Cruise has dyslexia.
Yeah.
And he's an actor and a producer. For you to understand the enormity of being an actor and a producer on the set where you're working, as the producer, you're controlling everything on the set, from the directors to the actors to the crew to the vendors to the investors, and the public. So you're controlling the entire perception of the film. And then you're also acting, you're adding to that responsibility. And then when it comes to acting, you have to internalize your lines. And it's not easy, because you have to do the same thing over and over again. There are directors that can do 60 takes of the same thing. So imagine you had a monologue that spans a lengthy monologue of 2 or 3 pages, and you have to word for word every take. So it's not an easy fit, but this is if any way accommodates you being different and finding a way to amplify that difference, I think is the film industry. Like Israel, of course, what do I care? Animator. We have, nobody cares. It's the final outfit that we're interested in. And the sharper, the better. Post-production people in the film industry are known to be very quirky. I'm sure if we did a poll, 99% of them would be on the spectrum, because they prefer solitude, but they see the project in a way you don't get to see it. Because at the end of the day, you could write a brilliant script, be the most brilliant director. It's when that project finally gets to post-production that the story takes shape. So basically, the final output the public gets to see has the DNA of the post-production persons, the post-production supervisor, the editor, the animators, all these guys, and the reason why they excel and make and are able to craft such brilliant tales is because of how they envision the world. They see the world. They might not relate very well with people outside of that post-production booth. They prefer their solitude, and we like that. We respect everybody. We help you excel in the film industry. So I think, yeah, it's my colleague. I actually have a lot more respect for her after I discovered, and she's very curious. She told me about her story, how she was diagnosed, and how she struggles that I don't even see. So while her mind cascades all these things, she's able to spot the patterns, but she has to double check every email. Everything. She has to read every email like 10, 20 times before sending it. She even has to send it to a trusted friend to say, please check this email, make sure it's fine before sending it. But that's now interacting with the public. But once it comes to the picture, there's basically no way you can even hold a candle to her. You can't match that pace. And I envy that. That's why I say, I wish I was dyslexic.
I have goosebumps listening to you. I don't think I've heard anyone really articulate so vividly, so passionately from their own work, the strength of dyslexia. We've talked about it so many times, but you really brought it to life. And, I think it's really good what you said, that the film industry creates this, but also that there's still struggles within that creative structure that are overcome. I think the one thing that you haven't mentioned that I would love to mention is that you are an enabler, and this is something we are encouraging and want everyone listening today to remember, is that we all need to be more of what you've you've emulated. You are seeing beyond a certification. You're seeing beyond any errors she may be making. You're looking beyond that to the actual skill set and the value she's bringing. And that's really what moves everything forward. So thank you for that. That's really something I take to heart, and that we can all take to heart from here. Israel, I'd love to speak with you about your creativity within structure and how you thrive within the structure that is animation as a career.
Yes. So I feel like as far as my ecosystem is concerned, I'm very, very independent there. So I created there's a group of animators in the country right now that make content and stuff like that. And as about, let's say, 2020, I saw that space and I thought, oh, this is something I could do. Then I was just doing digital illustrations. I wasn't really animating, but it has always been the plan, like to go into animation. So when I started animating, there weren't many of us out there then, but there were a few. And I saw the space for viral content as like this window of opportunity that then I took it as something that may close anytime. You never know. So that was when I started creating short form content and stuff like that, and they went viral. Now, because of the name I had made for myself in the animation community and in content creation, I found out that the structure kind of adjusted to what I wanted to do, like with how I wanted to work, basically. So I didn't really struggle when I came into the animation space. That's why I believe, and I tell people who feel like they are different, that go ahead with what makes you different. Your refusal to conform will create a new ecosystem that the world will eventually have to adapt to. So the way I chose to work wasn't very common, but they had to adapt to it because the results were very clear. So brands like Coca-Cola, brands like Piggyvest, I found that they made adjustments to their contracts and things like that just to fit what I wanted to do, because again, the results were quite clear. So that's one of the things that helped with navigating that space. And I remember when I got my job where I work now, which is Piggyvest, that was when I realized that I didn't have to leave my house to work. And from that day to this day, I've never taken anything that will take me out of my house, except I actually really want to go out. So that has also been very, very fun. And then another thing is the team and the community. As much as you work with people, they let you do your thing. They let you see, okay, give us the final product, and then if we need any other person to come into it, that will be, we'll have that. But originally, when these people pitch their projects to me, what they really say is, this thing you do, can you do it for us? So yeah, so when you say ask a question like that, you have to be able to, okay, this thing I do, this is how I do it. This is the creative process. This is how long it takes. This is what happens. So if you want me to do it for you, we have to keep some things constant, and they are usually very, very happy with that. So it has been very interesting.
I mean, you said go ahead and do what makes you different. And you also talked about people supporting value, where they see the values, they're willing to go on the journey, the process that you are defining, because they want where you're taking them. And I think that's a great segue to talking about how to protect that art and that craft and that skill set in the age of AI, especially when there's so much conversation around AI taking over, skills and jobs and people's work. So I'll start with you, Alice. I mean, your own craft is very sensory, taste, texture, intuition. In an AI-driven world, how do you think we can preserve the value of those specific skill sets and your own interpretation and expression of intelligence in the culinary arts?
Well, if I'm really honest with you, I didn't embrace AI when a lot of people were talking about using ChatGPT, I think I was a bit afraid of it. And then I started using it. I thought I'll try it out just to see if I wanted to do a menu. So I'll go into ChatGPT and tell them what I wanted it to do, and then it would spill out something for me. Or if I had a difficult client to deal with, I would, again, go to ChatGPT, and then it would create something for me. I don't really see AI taking over cooking because, AI can't taste, can it? It doesn't feel. Yeah. So I think it's a tool that can help, definitely. But with regards to what I do, and I use my hands, I don't really see AI taking over. But I think we should embrace it as a tool to help us, definitely.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I guess in the culinary arts, it's probably easier to see how ChatGPT can let you be and to just allow your use of it as a tool. And so I'll come to you, James, as a producer and a director, you must see the different roles that AI can interact with. And so for you, what role can you see technology playing in creating pathways, not just platforms, but pathways for non-traditional talent?
So first of all, what I'm going to say here is going to be very controversial. And, a lot of people, it's very controversial in the film industry. So what I'm going to say is very simple. See, I think whoever is afraid, you're not good enough in the first place if you think AI can take your job. If AI can do your job, if AI can do what you do, then you were never good enough. You're not useful to society, basically. So that's it. It's as simple as that. Having said that, let's think back, right? Innovation, technology, from time immemorial, from human civilization, has always taken some jobs. It's inevitable, right? Before electricity, there were people who had jobs to light the street lamps. When electricity became a thing, they were gone. There was an entire industry before the automobile was invented and cars became a thing. You had horses, horse breeders, horse shoemakers, groomers, the guys that made the saddle. It was a whole industry. But then the automobile became a thing and those industries died. Those people had to evolve. Even the film industry we're talking about, right? The film industry started from the silent era. And believe you me, there were people who opposed the idea to introduce sound into film. When sound was developed and we discovered that, movies could have sound now. People could talk in films. We could have talking pictures. There were people who were on the street, oh no, the sound is bad, this is not good, the people will lose their jobs. Like, I don't understand, because the pianist, the organist in the theater, creating the score live will lose, like, it didn't make sense. And a lot of people lost their jobs because they were like, oh, okay, we're not going to embrace the change. And yeah, so then just about 30, 40 years ago, less than 30 years ago, the digital era came in the film industry, right? Because films have always been made traditionally, celluloid. There were directors, there were people, filmmakers who still opposed the idea that digital technology could help the industry grow. They were like cinema purists, film purists. Oh no digital technology. So people will always make a problem where there's no problem. But look at today, let me be modest. Let me say about 70 to 80% of the filmmakers working today, especially in Africa and in less developed film markets, were only able to join the race to make films because of the availability of technology and digital technology. Between you and I, right? Which filmmaker can afford to rent a 35mm celluloid camera to experiment, to make films? You had to have gone to film school, learned with the gigantic old analog cameras before you knew anything about film. But with the development of digital cameras, in fact, people actually even pioneered and discovered that, oh, the photographic cameras, you know, the DSLRs could actually give you good video. And they pivoted. You know, a new generation of filmmakers emerged. Do you understand? For people like Steven Spielberg, for instance, you know, if he did not have access to technology, he wouldn't, and he's dyslexic, by the way, you know, and he wouldn't have had access, he wouldn't have had the ability to create some of the biggest, some of the most memorable films in recent times. From Jurassic Park, that's technology. CGI, oh, when CGI came out, people freaked out. It's going to take people's job and everything. But it was embraced and opened up an entirely new industry. The same thing that is happening with AI. So I tell my colleagues, see, listen, you can't fight a lost battle. Whenever you see the money people, the investors, the big Fortune 500 companies start investing heavily in any new technology, in any new thing, give it 10 years, it becomes the norm, right?
Yeah.
DVDs fizzled out. Nobody remembers that though. You can't own media now. It's very difficult to own physical media. But are we not surviving? We'll evolve. We'll find new pathways to go, right? The tech companies want to control AI, control creativity and all that. Yeah, it's okay. You know, but let's understand one thing. We don't have monopoly on creativity.
No.
So AI will create a new industry, a new crop of filmmakers who specialize in making these AI films. I've started learning AI prompting. In fact, I'm going to brag now. I don't care what anybody says. I don't think there's any filmmaker who started traditionally that knows how to make AI films better than I do right now. I had to force myself to learn. For the past 6 months, I've been creating full stories with AI. You know, I'm like, I'm not going to fight this technology. I'm going to understand it. Understand how to use it so it doesn't use me. AI cannot use me. Me, I will use AI. Do you understand? How does it amplify my work? How does it make what I do better? Do you understand? So this is the tool. It's like saying computers are evil. It's going to take people's job because some typists are still typing on typewriters. You write your script longhand, you give to a typist, pay them, they type it out. And because there are typists typing like that, you say, oh, it's going to take people's job. So, but now you have personal computers. You can type your stuff yourself. Did all the typists die? So instead of fighting any new technology, you don't have the power. No government can even fight AI. The big tech companies are forcing it down our throat. So it's fine, it's okay. We'll adapt, we'll learn. You know, so that's my take for it. I think it's going to create new massive filmmakers. It's going to create a new market. It's going to create a new workforce, and it's going to create new millionaires. Just like the digital content creation era came, you know, mobile phones. People can now shoot films with mobile phones. Young people have created their own economy. Like, I like what Israel said. You know, he tailored his own contract. See, me, I work from home. This is how I work. You like what I do? This is the process with which I do it. So if you want the same result, allow me do my thing. He brought it to his comfort zone. So we care about output. So if you like, use AI, and the story is good. It makes sense, and people like it. I mean, okay, you know what? It's not such a bad idea. And guess what? AI has been around for the past 30 years. All we are making noise about is declassified technologies. It's just been declassified for the public. So when people say, oh, CGI, what is CGI? You've had autopilots on airplanes for more than 40 years. You've had autocorrect. You've had CGI in movies. E.T. was made almost 40 years ago. Jurassic Park was made more than 30 years ago. These films had massive special effects. And you're telling me that technology did not aid in the making of this film. And did the industry die? New people came about. Now you have an animator. You have Israel, who is an animator. He can't animate without technology. Oh, sorry. I got carried away. Sorry.
I just wanted to ask a couple of questions. So, do I have time? Yeah.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. So, I understand what you're saying, James, but also be aware that people don't always embrace change. It's scary for some people.
Yeah.
I've also heard
that's right. And in fact,
some universities in Ghana are complaining, some of the lecturers are complaining that the students are writing their essays, or ChatGPT are writing the essays for them. So it's about how we use it. Do you see what I mean? But I think not everyone is going to embrace change, especially the older generation. Because I was listening to Professor Papa talking about parents and teaching, training teachers, but the parents, how are the parents going to get access to this new AI to help their children who are dyslexic? How do they have access to it?
Sorry, I think it's laziness on the part of the teachers who complaining that the students are writing essays with ChatGPT is absolute laziness. Any teacher that says that doesn't.
I think also, Alice, I'm so sorry. I think also, Alice, James had warned in the beginning that he was going to be controversial. So he has succeeded.
Yes.
No. I'm being serious. They're being lazy. Set your tests, your exams. You see, that's the same thing with setting generic exams. Dyslexics won't excel in that kind of situation. You're just setting generic stuff, templates. Ask this, refine the way you examine students, refine the way you set your tests and assignments, encourage creative thinking. So whether or not to use AI basically, computer is garbage in, garbage out. It just polishes the garbage for you, but it's still garbage.
Can I say something?
Yes, please.
Please.
Can I say something? Yes. So in my field, animation, I'm not sure. I'll first describe how it works, and then I'll say what I want to say. So when you see an animated film, basically, in most cases, each frame you see is hand drawn or computer generated with like scribbling and whatnot, and there are about 40 frames a second, depending on how fluid you want it to be. In some cases, there are about 80 to 160 frames in 1 second. So I believe me when I say AI coming into the game, if animators could, they would have thrown a party. We are very excited that AI is introduced. Now you can have your keyframes, which are like maybe 4 or 5, and kind of use AI to smoothen the rest, of which you will still have to go and edit what AI has done. Yeah. So the problem is that if you keep learning because AI is available, you will stay one step behind in perpetuity. You will stay one step behind at all times, because what AI will not do is think it through how am I going to describe it? The emotions, the expressions that make that character or that event what it's supposed to be, or what you envisioned when you were telling the story. AI will not do that. And our work is very performative. So I would just liken and describe it to a performance and a recitation. So when you see somebody reciting a monologue, you can tell that this person has not felt it yet. But when you see a performance, you relate. That's what it's like when you try and use AI without knowing the foundation or having the groundwork. So AI in its essence is coming. That's why when you use the word, it took that word straight out of my mouth, amplify. AI would amplify what is already available. If not, you stay copying or replicating what has already been done, because AI is doing it. AI is giving you what it's giving you based on what already exists. Nothing new will come out from AI. The new thing, the new elements, the new factor will come from the person inputting those prompts, will come from the person generating the content, will come from the person writing the story. There's only so much AI can do. And at some point, if people abuse AI, you'll find out that we have the same formula, the same stories, the same thing across board, which is one of the things that is happening now. It's just that people don't realize. You watch some stories and you can tell it's the exact same thing, just like maybe they just switched up a couple of names, and you see how that affects production. And that's why it makes I was going to say something earlier, that another thing AI will do is expose through creativity, because in this land where everybody is using AI, you have an opportunity. You have a real opportunity to actually stand apart, and you can do that still using AI. But you now have your knowledge, you have everything you've learned, you have everything you've been able to amass over the years, and then AI just amplifies it in certain places, as opposed to AI doing the entire work for you. So you have an opportunity to stand out.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. I just need to nudge us a bit forward from AI in the interest of time. But honestly, there's a lot that we've said that I'm probably going to try to harmonize in a sentence or two. And I'll start with your very controversial statement. Whoever is afraid, it's not that they're not good enough. They're probably just afraid to introduce their own self, which is what Israel has said. It's really presence over performance. It is introducing that person's deep expression, their own creativity that AI can then amplify. So in not trying to continue the controversial side of AI, I'm going to take us to the controversial side of education, because ultimately our education systems are grooming us for the workplace, for a livelihood, for work. And when we're finding creative talent that is unable to find easy pathways to work, there's also a challenge in the roots. So I'm going to ask, if you could redesign education or early career systems in Africa, what would they look like to truly include creative minds? I'll start with you, Alice, this time.
I'm just going to go back to my experience in the classroom in Ghana. So let's just use the primary school. Even just being in that classroom, sitting down, wasn't something that would have worked for me. So for example, I'm an auditory learner. So if I could have spoken my essays, if I could have spoken the report, I would have got an A. But because I had to write it, then my mark would have come down to a D or a D+. So I just think maybe the education system needs to be changed. But you see, this is a point where I think that maybe governments need to be involved, because no one's really talked about governments. We need to train the teachers, and all of these training is done privately. But hopefully if the government got involved and then made it a standard thing, then all the teachers would have this different learning styles or teaching styles. Maybe have a classroom where we focus, maybe have people come in to talk to the children. So if they could see someone, so if maybe James came in to talk about a career in the film industry, these kids will see that, oh, actually, this is something that I could do. This is something that's attainable. If you don't see it, you can't be it. That's the kind of learning environment I think would be productive for our young African kids. Yeah. I can't hear.
I can't hear you.
We still can't hear you.
We can't hear you. I think it's the earpiece.
Can you hear me now?
Now.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Israel, I was asking if you wanted to add to that.
Yes. So the school system, I would say if they could create, and it's a wild thing to suggest, but if the students could create subjects, like if you ask the child, like, oh, what do you want to learn? And they said this, and then we create a curriculum around that in school, you'll find that there's a lot, there's so many, because a lot of the time, a student says, oh, they don't like this subject, they don't like this, or they don't like this. And they are very important, but part of the problem is that they don't believe they are learning what they actually want to learn in school. If that was sandwiched with a bunch of other subjects, maybe it would be a more interesting place to go to. So somebody like myself now, I like music, I liked drawing, and I went to school just whenever it was fine arts, whenever we had fine arts, I'm like the most excited person, and all the other classes are easier to digest, knowing that fine arts is coming after maybe long break or short break. And I feel like many other people will have things, but the way the system is set up now, there's just like maybe one day a year where they say, oh, we are going to teach you bead making or something like that. And I don't think that's enough. I think it should be, they should pick the brains of the students and know exactly where their head is at with some interesting things that they would like to learn. Because like now till this day, I don't understand why content creation as a vocation is not heavily pitched in schools, because like it is literally running the corporate ecosystem now, one of the most lucrative fields. And many of these people may not find out or learn about it until they step out in the university, or until they come out of school and decide, oh, let me learn this on my own. But the school is not actively doing anything about it. So that's what I think about it. I hope I made sense, yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, great. Yeah, absolutely.
It's shaking.
And curriculums is a complex one, but at least what I'm hearing is a combination. I wonder if you can hear me at all now.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. The question around school and curriculum is a very tricky, complex one. But at least I'm hearing is about leaning into learning styles and perhaps learning interests. But I guess that's something we have to explore in depth another day. For now,
we can hear you.
We're having problem hearing you. The audio is really bad.
The conversation, so we can take at least one second, and I'll just try to connect to something else. I'm so sorry about this.
Well now.
Okay.
Okay.
You're fine now.
All right.
Yes.
I'm going to hope it lasts for the last question. If the future belongs to neurodiverse minds, to creativity, to right brain thinking, what does that future look like to you? And I'll start with you, James.
So first of all, I think just quickly adding to that education thing, I think first of all, diagnosis is very important, right? For us to even know the kind of brain you have, right? We need to diagnose that. Then secondly, the education system is so archaic. We're still operating based on what we designed 100 years ago, and that's what we're still using. So for the future to belong to the right brain mind, we have to first of all identify you have the right brain, right? And now in this age, digital age and AI, like I said, teach them practical things that are actually things that people survive on, right? Prompt engineering is a course that should be introduced by now in secondary schools, primary schools, secondary schools, and university level. Because if people are going to stop being afraid of AI, they should understand, okay, that there is a profession here. Prompting, not everybody can write good prompts. Not everybody knows how to do good prompts, right? So if you identify this person is right brain, right? AI nowadays can help you translate. It's a lot. I think what it looks like for me is that we should start thinking outside the box when it comes to educating people and start making thinking of professions in a much more vocational, from a much more vocational perspective.
Yeah.
You know, that's it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, James. Diagnosis is important. Yes, Dyslexia Nigeria does that. If I have to remind anyone, please work with us in that identification of how you think. And also start by thinking outside the box. I'm going to ask you, Israel and Alice, to just respond to that in 30.
Okay.
Alice, would you start?
Okay.
Yeah, I think I definitely have to touch on what James said. Changing minds, especially with African parents. I think we need to change that narrative of pushing, you have to become a lawyer or a doctor, or, we need to change that. And then, as James said, try and push more creative. I mean, what's wrong with being a chef? They need to see someone like me. I'm dyslexic and dyspraxic, and I'm a very successful chef. So how do we change the way parents, teachers are pushing that narrative that, you know, you must become a lawyer or a doctor? We can't all become lawyers and doctors, can we?
No.
No, absolutely not.
No.
Thank you. Yes, showing us what the examples of where we could be going and what the pathways look like is so important. Israel, would you like to add your 30 seconds to that, please?
Yeah, I mean, inclusivity, it makes us better at the end of the day. Remember what I said about how the world has to adapt to what we create at the end of the day, like adapt to what you make that is different. A lot of the things that are beautiful about the media space now are things that were initially probably frowned upon when they first came out, but then as the world adapts, they become the bedrock, they become this important thing in the system. So it's like, I'll just share this. Learning to be inclusive. I wrote a song and I made a video, and then a special needs lady sent me a transcribed version of the song in sign language. I didn't know how much I needed that until I saw it. I still don't understand how she enjoyed the music and all that, but it made me do research. It made me want to look into it. My brother James here did a whole documentary on dyslexia, and is not that you know, that's like, so those things stretch us and they make us very, very, they make us better at the end of the day. Just trying to include and make sure everybody's taking into account makes us better for it.
Thank you so much. Inclusion makes us stronger. Absolutely. I'm going to take just one question from the audience and then we'll wrap up. And this question is directed at Alice. Dyslexia is often associated with creativity and strong visual or artistic intelligence, but could individuals with dyslexia also thrive and emerge as academics? And that's by Onyinye Osumoke.
So the second part again, sorry.
Yes. Dyslexia is often associated with creativity and strong visual or artistic intelligence, but could individuals with dyslexia also thrive and emerge as academics?
Oh yes, most definitely. There's a book. There's a really good book written by a Nigerian lady called Dyslexia and Me. And when she was at boarding school, she was doing so well that I think she set up an enterprise where she was tutoring people. I mean, so that's a prime example. And she's gone on to do amazing things. So yeah, she did really well. Doesn't always have to be creative.
Thank you. I guess that's just demonstrating that in whatever line of work there's the opportunity and the space to be creative and to find the different strengths that we have. As James mentioned, especially when we can identify how we learn, how we work, how we think, and to find ways to express that in our work. I've learned so much from you today. I've really enjoyed this. I wish we had 2 hours at least to keep going, but I have to thank you so much for this conversation, for sharing your experience. So much has stood out for me. Really, we don't have a monopoly on creativity. Free yourself to learn so you can adapt and evolve. AI will amplify what already exists. So don't be afraid to bring your presence and not to buy into the performance. Diagnosis is important. Start by thinking outside the box. And I think what we're really seeing is that intelligence wears many faces and that the real rewiring, like we started, is not with our brains, but with our beliefs. James, Israel, Alice, thank you so much for a fantastic conversation and for joining our dialogue. Thank you so very much.
Thank you for having me. All right.
Thank you.
Very
Thank you.
much. Thank you to everyone.
Thank you very much. And I'll hand over now to Sam. Thank you, Sam.
Thank you. Thank you. That was powerful indeed, I must mention. I mean, thanks to our panelists for such an impactful conversation. I've learned a lot. From that second panel discussion. Well, just for the records, Olaide Odedinran is the lead workforce development in Africa at Acumen, a global nonprofit investing in social enterprises tackling poverty. She's also the executive director of Dyslexia Nigeria and founder of Kiara Jewelry, which is bringing over 15 years of experience at the intersection of strategy, impact, and entrepreneurship. Thank you once again, Olaide, for such a brilliant session you had. All right, let's go on as we wrap up the conversation or the dialogue today. Just a few more things to go on. Now, let's take you through a little something that's important. That's talking about Dyslexia Nigeria online teacher training, which is Dyslexia Nigeria's online courses platform offers you practical, accessible learning for anyone, absolutely anyone, who wants to better understand and support Dyslexia Nigeria. Now, the courses are designed for parents. They're also designed for teachers, caregivers, employers, and individuals who really want to build real knowledge and confidence around dyslexia, from, of course, identifying early signs and using effective teaching and support strategies to really better the experience. Now, as a learner, you can gain step-by-step guidance across the platform, the online teacher training platform. You can also get tools. It's for everyone. Like I said, you get unlimited access to courses, case studies, digital resources, expert guidance, and more. You can also build your skills and knowledge with online training created not just by anybody, but by experts. You can learn with Dyslexia Nigeria. You can learn how to get the best. You can get certified as well, and you can build up everyone as well. Testimonies are there for you to really ensure or really tell yourself that where you are is the best place you want to be. What would you like to learn today? We urge you to go on to that Dyslexia Nigeria online teacher training. You can learn a lot more about Dyslexia Nigeria. You can educate, which is a big goal for them. They also convene and, more importantly, empower everyone as well, not just those with dyslexia, but everyone who wants to also be a part of it. So go there and get more insights from there. The courses can be taken online. It's very accessible at your own pace, so you don't have to be like physical presence to be there. If you have any questions whatsoever, you can also leave us your comments. They're active on across all social media platforms, Instagram, X, formerly known as Twitter, as well as Facebook and others. Experience a seamless learning. It's tailor-made for you. It's almost perfection, I dare say, and you can get the very best user experience. You learn from anywhere at your own pace, making it easy to learn any day, anytime. So log on and have yourself a beautiful, beautiful experience. Understanding Dyslexia, could have it there on the website, a guide for teachers to also use and explore. You can buy for very, very affordable prices. We talked earlier in the first panel about bringing accessibility, not just the technology through AI or the knowledge, but making it accessible, especially to teachers, parents, caregivers, anybody who wants to make use of it. So very, very important that you do that. So again, log on to the Dyslexia Nigeria online teacher training course platform and get yourself all the basic and necessary tools that you need. Okay. It has been a very, very wonderful dialogue, I must mention, and I've had fun with all the panelists and everyone who's been part of it. The first panel was as impactful as the second was as well, and I'm sure you've thoroughly enjoyed. To everyone watching on YouTube, we appreciate you for your time, for being with us today. I'm sure you've been educated, you've been informed, and you know more about lending your voice to the call for a better society, not just for dyslexia, people living with dyslexia. You could see that it's not just about the disability. There's no need for stigmatization, but you can contribute by building a society and helping people with dyslexia reach their full potential. It's very important that that is mentioned. Now, I want to hand you over to someone who's in the background working and ensuring that things go smoothly. And she's done a fantastic job. And she's going to be giving us a closing remark and appreciating everyone as well. Jenny, someone I like to call her Jenny. She's here. Jenny, you've been brilliant. And thank you for being a wonderful, wonderful companion, Jenny.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Sam. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. I can hear you.
Very well. Thank you so much. I mean, we've had such an amazing dialogue. The 5th Africa Dyslexia Dialogue was such an amazing time today. It's almost like we should not go, but of course we know that people have other things to get onto. So thank you to every single person who was a part of the 5th Africa Dyslexia Dialogue. Thank you very much to our keynote speaker, Mr. Kamara, to our amazing list of panelists. I mean, you were completely awesome. I think some of you are even still here. So that just goes to show how much we appreciate you. And we're really happy that you had quite a great time on the dialogue today. And of course, to our amazing viewers on YouTube and on Zoom as well, thank you so much. Today, we explored how creativity, neurodiversity, and AI can co-occur. It doesn't have to be a competition, but in partnership to unlock human potential and build a future where talent is more inclusive, more innovative, and more humane to everyone. As we leave today, let's remember that learning is not only about the tools, but also about who we empower, the humans behind learning. Let's all go back to our schools, our homes, our workplaces, and commit to teaching differently, creating differently, supporting every single learner and every single one around us who think differently or who we come across that we see every day. So thank you once again to everyone who joined in. We're super grateful. From every single person at Dyslexia Nigeria, I am saying thank you to you on behalf of all of us. Do have an amazing afternoon, I believe. And to everyone in other parts of the world, thank you so much. Do have an amazing day. We will see you at the next Africa Dyslexia Dialogue, which would be the 6th edition. So yeah, we'll see you then. Thank you very much.
So, on behalf of myself, and of course, special appreciation to the technical team for ensuring everything worked smoothly today. We do appreciate all the efforts that have been put in today. What more can I say? Jenny said it all on behalf of Dr. Adrian Tikolo and the rest of everyone at Dyslexia Nigeria. We do wish you a wonderful rest of the day, a wonderful rest of the year. And of course, go follow Dyslexia Nigeria across every social media platforms. We'd love to hear from you, all of your thoughts, what more you'd like to see. We certainly are looking forward to your response and your feedback. All right. Thank you so much. Again, have yourself a wonderful rest of the afternoon, a wonderful weekend, a wonderful rest of the year, and see you next time. I am Samuel Victor Agban, bidding you a lovely day.
My God. You know.
In every Nigerian classroom, there are children full of potential, yet struggle to read, write, and spell like their peers. This struggle often has a name: dyslexia, a difference in learning, not in intelligence. At Dyslexia Nigeria, we believe every person deserves the right support to thrive. Our vision is a world where individuals with dyslexia can attain their full potential. Our mission is to educate, identify, and support children and adults with dyslexia. Our goal is to educate, convene, and empower all stakeholders concerned with dyslexia in Nigeria, including educators, businesses, parents, policymakers, and individuals. Through screening, diagnostic assessments, teacher training, workplace needs assessments, and resources, we help schools, organizations, and families create environments where dyslexic learners can thrive. We empower educators to teach differently and workplaces to think inclusively, unlocking potential across every level of society. Through our programs like the Ready to Read program and partnerships, we're creating a future where dyslexia is understood, not feared. Dyslexia Nigeria, building awareness and inspiring understanding. In every Nigerian classroom, there are children full of potential, yet struggle to read, write, and spell like their peers. This struggle often has a name: dyslexia, a difference in learning, not in intelligence. At Dyslexia Nigeria, we believe every person deserves the right support to thrive. Our vision is a world where individuals with dyslexia can attain their full potential. Our mission is to educate, identify, and support children and adults with dyslexia. Our goal is to educate, convene, and empower all stakeholders concerned with dyslexia in Nigeria, including educators, businesses, parents, policymakers, and individuals. Through screening, diagnostic assessments, teacher training, workplace needs assessments, and resources, we help schools, organizations, and families create environments where dyslexic learners can thrive. We empower educators to teach differently and workplaces to think inclusively, unlocking potential across every level of society. Through our programs like the Ready to Read program and partnerships, we're creating a future where dyslexia is understood, not feared. Dyslexia Nigeria, building awareness and inspiring understanding. In every Nigerian classroom, there are children full of potential, yet struggle to read, write, and spell like their peers. This struggle often has a name: dyslexia, a difference in learning, not in intelligence. At Dyslexia Nigeria, we believe every person deserves the right support to thrive. Our vision is a world where individuals with dyslexia can attain their full potential. Our mission is to educate, identify, and support children and adults with dyslexia. Our goal is to educate, convene, and empower all stakeholders concerned with dyslexia in Nigeria, including educators, businesses, parents, policymakers, and individuals. Through screening, diagnostic assessments, teacher training, workplace needs assessments, and resources, we help schools, organizations, and families create environments where dyslexic learners can thrive. We empower educators to teach differently and workplaces to think inclusively, unlocking potential across every level of society. Through our programs like the Ready to Read program and partnerships, we're creating a future where dyslexia is understood, not feared. Dyslexia Nigeria, building awareness and inspiring understanding. In every Nigerian classroom, there are children full of potential, yet struggle to read, write, and spell like their peers. This struggle often has a name: dyslexia, a difference in learning, not in intelligence. At Dyslexia Nigeria, we believe every person deserves the right support to thrive. Our vision is a world where individuals with dyslexia can attain their full potential. Our mission is to educate, identify, and support children and adults with dyslexia. Our goal is to educate, convene, and empower all stakeholders concerned with dyslexia in Nigeria, including educators, businesses, parents, policymakers, and individuals. Through screening, diagnostic assessments, teacher training, workplace needs assessments, and resources, we help schools, organizations, and families create environments where dyslexic learners can thrive. We empower educators to teach differently and workplaces to think inclusively, unlocking potential across every level of society. Through our program programs like the Ready to Read program and partnerships, we're creating a future where dyslexia is understood, not feared. Dyslexia Nigeria, building awareness and inspiring understanding. In every Nigerian classroom, there are children full of potential, yet struggle to read, write, and spell like their peers. This struggle often has a name: dyslexia, a difference in learning, not in intelligence. At Dyslexia Nigeria, we believe every person deserves the right support to thrive. Our vision is a world where individuals with dyslexia can attain their full potential. Our mission is to educate, identify, and support children and adults with dyslexia. Our goal is to educate, convene, and empower all stakeholders concerned with dyslexia in Nigeria, including educators, businesses, parents, policymakers, and individuals. Through screening, diagnostic assessments, teacher training, workplace needs assessments, and resources, we help schools, organizations, and families create environments where dyslexic learners can thrive. We empower educators to teach differently and workplaces to think inclusively, unlocking potential across every level of society. Through our programs like the Ready to Read program and partnerships, we're creating a future where dyslexia is understood, not feared. Dyslexia Nigeria, building awareness and inspiring understanding. In every Nigerian classroom, there are children full of potential, yet struggle to read, write, and spell like their peers. This struggle often has a name: dyslexia, a difference in learning, not in intelligence. At Dyslexia Nigeria, we believe every person deserves the right support to thrive. Our vision is a world where individuals with dyslexia can attain their full potential. Our mission is to educate, identify, and support children and adults with dyslexia. Our goal is to educate, convene, and empower all stakeholders concerned with dyslexia in Nigeria, including educators, businesses, parents, policymakers, and individuals. Through screening, diagnostic assessments, teacher training, workplace needs assessments, and resources, we help schools, organizations, and families create environments where dyslexic learners can thrive. We empower educators to teach differently and workplaces to think inclusively, unlocking potential across every level of society. Through our programs like the Ready to Read program and partnerships, we're creating a future where dyslexia is understood, not feared. Dyslexia Nigeria, building awareness and inspiring understanding. In every Nigerian classroom, there are children full of potential, yet struggle to read, write, and spell like their peers. This struggle often has a name: dyslexia, a difference in learning, not in intelligence. At Dyslexia Nigeria, we believe every person deserves the right support to thrive. Our vision is a world where individuals with dyslexia can attain their full potential. Our mission is to educate, identify, and support children and adults with dyslexia. Our goal is to educate, convene, and empower all stakeholders concerned with dyslexia in Nigeria, including educators, businesses, parents, policymakers, and individuals. Through screening, diagnostic assessments, teacher training, workplace needs assessments, and resources, we help schools, organizations, and families create environments where dyslexic learners can thrive. We empower educators to teach differently and workplaces to think inclusively, unlocking potential across every level of society. Through our programs like the Ready to Read program and partnerships, we're creating a future where dyslexia is understood, not feared. Dyslexia Nigeria, building awareness and inspiring understanding. In every Nigerian classroom, there are children full of potential, yet struggle struggle to read, write, and spell like their peers. This struggle often has a name: dyslexia, a difference in learning, not in intelligence. At Dyslexia Nigeria, we believe every person deserves the right support to thrive. Our vision is a world where individuals with dyslexia can attain their full potential. Our mission is to educate, identify, and support children and adults with dyslexia. Our goal is to educate, convene, and empower all stakeholders concerned with dyslexia in Nigeria, including educators, businesses, parents, policymakers, and individuals. Through screening, diagnostic assessments, teacher training, workplace needs assessments, and resources, we help schools, organizations, and families create environments where dyslexic learners can thrive. We empower educators to teach differently and workplaces to think inclusively, unlocking potential across every level of society. Through our programs like the Ready to Read program and creating a future where dyslexia is understood, not feared. Dyslexia Nigeria, building awareness and inspiring understanding. In every Nigerian classroom, there are children full of potential, yet struggle to read, write, and spell like their peers. This struggle often has a name: dyslexia, a difference in learning, not in intelligence. At Dyslexia Nigeria, we believe every person deserves the right support to thrive. Our vision is a world where individuals with dyslexia can attain their full potential. Our mission is to educate, identify, and support children and adults with dyslexia. Our goal is to educate, convene, and empower all stakeholders concerned with dyslexia in Nigeria, including educators, businesses, parents, policymakers, and individuals. Through screening, diagnostic assessments, teacher training, workplace needs assessments, and resources, we help schools, organizations, and families create environments where dyslexic learners can thrive. We empower educators to teach differently and workplaces to think inclusively, unlocking potential across every level of society. Through our programs like the Ready to Read program and partnerships, we're creating a future where dyslexia is understood, not feared. Dyslexia Nigeria, building awareness and inspiring understanding. In every Nigerian classroom, there are children full of potential, yet struggle to read, write, and spell like their peers. This struggle often has a name: dyslexia, a difference in learning, not in intelligence. At Dyslexia Nigeria, we believe every person deserves the right support to thrive. Our vision is a world where individuals with dyslexia can attain their full potential. Our mission is to educate, identify, and support children and adults with dyslexia. Our goal is to educate, convene, and empower all stakeholders concerned with dyslexia in Nigeria, including educators, businesses, parents, policymakers, and individuals. Through screening, diagnostic assessments, teacher training, workplace needs assessments, and resources, we help schools, organizations, and families create environments where dyslexic learners can thrive. We empower educators to teach differently and workplaces to think inclusively, unlocking potential across every level of society. Through our programs like the Ready to Read program and partnerships, we're creating a future where dyslexia is understood, not feared. Dyslexia Nigeria, building awareness and inspiring understanding. In every Nigerian classroom, there are children full of potential, yet struggle to read, write, and spell like their peers. This struggle often has a name: dyslexia, a difference in learning, not in intelligence. At Dyslexia Nigeria, we believe every person deserves the right support to thrive. Our vision is a world where individuals with dyslexia can attain their full potential. Our mission is to educate, identify, and support children and adults with dyslexia. Our goal is to educate, convene, and empower all stakeholders concerned with dyslexia in Nigeria, including educators, businesses, parents, policymakers, and individuals. Through screening, diagnostic assessments, teacher training, workplace needs assessments, and resources, we help schools, organizations, and families create environments where dyslexic learners can thrive. We empower educators to teach differently and workplaces to think inclusively, unlocking potential across every level of society. Through our programs like the Ready to Read program and partnerships, we're creating a future where dyslexia is understood, not feared. Dyslexia Nigeria, building awareness and inspiring understanding. In every Nigerian classroom, there are children full of potential, yet struggle to read, write, and spell like their peers. This struggle often has a name: dyslexia, a difference in learning, not in intelligence. At Dyslexia Nigeria, we believe every person deserves the right support to thrive. Our vision is a world where individuals with dyslexia can attain their full potential. Our mission is to educate, identify, and support children and adults with dyslexia. Our goal is to educate, convene, and empower all stakeholders concerned with dyslexia in Nigeria, including educators, businesses, parents, policymakers, and individuals. Through screening, diagnostic assessments, teacher training, workplace needs assessments, and resources, we help schools, organizations, and families create environments where dyslexic learners can thrive. We empower educators to teach differently and workplaces to think inclusively, unlocking potential across every level of society. Through our programs like the Ready to Read program and partnerships, we're creating a future where dyslexia is understood, not feared. Dyslexia Nigeria, building awareness and inspiring understanding. In every Nigerian classroom, there are children full of potential, yet struggle to read, write, and spell like their peers. This struggle often has a name: dyslexia, a difference in learning, not in intelligence. At Dyslexia Nigeria, we believe every person deserves the right support to thrive. Our vision is a world where individuals with dyslexia can attain their full potential. Our mission is to educate, identify, and support children and adults with dyslexia. Our goal is to educate, convene, and empower all stakeholders concerned with dyslexia in Nigeria, including educators, businesses, parents, policymakers, and individuals. Through screening, diagnostic assessments, teacher training, workplace needs assessments, and resources, we help schools, organizations, and families create environments where dyslexic learners can thrive. We empower educators to teach differently and workplaces to think inclusively, unlocking potential across every level of society. Through our programs like the Ready to Read program and partnerships, we're creating a future where dyslexia is understood, not feared. Dyslexia Nigeria, building awareness and inspiring understanding. In every Nigerian classroom, there are children full read, write, and spell like their peers. Has a name: dyslexia in intelligence. At Dyslexia Nigeria, deserves the right support to thrive. Our vision is a world where individuals with dyslexia can attain is to educate, identify, and support dyslexia. Our goal is to educate, convene, and empower all stakeholders concerned with dyslexia in Nigeria, including educators, businesses, parents, policymakers, and individuals. Through screening, diagnostic assessments, teacher training, workplace needs assessments, and resources, we help schools, organizations, and families create environments where dyslexic learners can thrive. We empower educators to teach differently and workplaces to think inclusively, unlocking potential across every level of society. Through our programs like the Ready to Read program and partnerships, we're creating a future where dyslexia is understood, not feared. Dyslexia Nigeria, building awareness and inspiring understanding. In every Nigerian classroom, there are children full of potential, yet struggle to read, write, and spell like their peers. This struggle often has a name: dyslexia, a difference in learning, not in intelligence. At Dyslexia Nigeria, we believe every person deserves the right support to thrive. Our vision is a world where individuals with dyslexia can attain their full potential. Our mission is to educate, identify, and support children and adults with dyslexia. Our goal is to educate, convene, and empower all stakeholders concerned with dyslexia in Nigeria, including educators, businesses, parents, policymakers, and individuals. Through screening, diagnostic assessments, teacher training, workplace needs assessments, and resources, we help schools, organizations, and families create environments where dyslexic learners can thrive. We empower educators to teach differently and workplaces to think inclusively, unlocking potential across every level of society. Through our programs like the Ready to Read program and partnerships, we're creating a future where dyslexia is understood, not feared. Dyslexia Nigeria, building awareness and inspiring understanding. In every Nigerian classroom, there are children full of potential. And believe every person deserves the right support to thrive. Our vision is a world where individuals with dyslexia can attain their full potential. Our mission is to educate, identify, and support children and adults with dyslexia. Our goal is to educate, convene, and empower all stakeholders concerned with dyslexia in Nigeria, including educators, businesses, parents, policymakers, and individuals. Through screening, diagnostic assessments, teacher training, workplace needs assessments, and resources, we help schools, organizations, and families create environments where dyslexic learners can thrive. We empower educators to teach differently and workplaces to think inclusively, unlocking potential across every level of society.